A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio. A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Your Auto Light dealer presents your favorite friends from Gasoline Alley.
Hold it, Wilmer. Hold it till I get this phone.
Okay, Skizix.
Wallet and Bobble Garage. Skizix Wallet speaking. What's that? Oh, yes, sir. We can fix it. We can fix anything on four wheels. Sure. We'll be waiting for you right here in Gasoline Alley.
Yes, it's Gasoline Alley, the comic strip that's a favorite in more than 100 great newspapers. In this episode, the adventure of the fanciful feminine touch. The boys learn that it's only a man's world because the women haven't bothered to take it over yet. But first, a word from the friendly Auto Light dealer in your own hometown. And now, Gasoline Alley. Right now, Wilmer is trying to talk Skizix into attending a better business convention in town. Of course, the fact that free refreshments will be served has nothing to do with Wilmer's sudden interest in the convention.
Gosh, Skizix, we ought to go to the convention. Those kind of contacts are important for public relations.
Well, who'll be at the garage to take care of the customers? Mr. and Mrs. Roach are going on a long trip tomorrow, and I promised we'd have their car ready by 5 o'clock tonight.
Who cares about Mr. and Mrs. Roach? He lets us tinker around with his old car, sure, but he never sends any of his bus line business our way.
How often do I have to tell you, Wilmer, that a good mechanic is like a good doctor? He does his honest best for everyone, no matter who they are.
Hello, Skizix. We were shopping in town and thought we'd pay a surprise call. Wilmer's always bragging how hard he works, so I thought I'd just come around and see for myself.
Well, you just happen to catch me in conference, Jessica.
I suppose it's the same kind of conference that you're always in when I want you to do the dishes. Oh, the garage is just as I thought.
What do you mean by that remark?
This place is a fright. If I kept house this way, the whole neighborhood would talk.
Jessica, this is a garage, not a parlor.
Even so, Wilmer, you ought to be ashamed. Look at that thing over there. It's just covered with grease.
Jessica, that thing over there happens to be a grease rack.
I think Jessica has a point. This place looks terrible.
Look, woman's place is in the home and not in the garage.
Oh, is that so, Mr. Smarty Pants? Well, let me tell you something. Any woman who can run a home wouldn't have much trouble running a simple garage.
Oh, yeah? Well, I'd like to see her try it for just one day.
That's a very good idea, Wilmer Bobble. Jessica and I will run the garage for you, won't we?
Oh, hold on a second. Wilmer was only teasing, weren't you, Wilmer?
Why, sure, the idea is absolutely ridiculous. No, none at all, Skizix. Let the girls run a garage for this afternoon, and we'll go to a convention to improve our public relations.
Go to the convention if you want to, Skizix. I'm sure Jessica and I can manage.
Oh, but Nina, there are a lot of things in the garage that women just
Go
can't...
on, skedaddle, both of you.
What do you say, Skizix? Why not?
Well, all right, but let Sarge take care of anything important. I guess it'll be okay for one afternoon.
That seems fine now. Do you want this piece of wire? Oh, I don't think I'll bother. It looks good enough the way it is. It looks lovely, Nina. I always said this office needed a set of chintz curtains. Oh, look, Nina, here comes a customer. I'll take care of him. Oh, well, I don't envy you, Jessica. It's that old fuss budget, Mrs. Rose. Good afternoon, madam. How can we be of service?
That's what I'm wondering. How could a slip of a girl be of service in a garage?
Well, it's the new wallet and bobble policy to make the garage part of the home.
Sounds like nonsense to me. I'm Mrs. Roach. We're taking the car on a long trip tomorrow. Fix it up. My husband and I will call for the car at 5 tonight. Good day. Ladies in the garage.
I think we'd better let Sarge take care of this job, Jessica. Mr. Roach is the man who owns the bus line, and Felix has been trying to get his business for a long time. All the more reason why we should take care of it ourselves. After all, a woman knows how to make a car comfortable for a trip better than any man. You really think so, Jessica? I'm sure of it. This is our chance to show Felix and Wilmer what the feminine touch can do.
Back to Gasoline Alley and the adventure of the fanciful feminine touch. While the boys are in town attending a convention, Nina and Jessica have been left in charge of the garage. At the moment, Nina is running an errand and Jessica is talking to Sarge.
Well, are you sure you don't want any help, Mrs. Bobble?
Oh, no, thank you, Sarge. Nina and I can take care of it. Oh, Nina, we better start right in on the Roach auto. I'll polish the windshield. Here are cigars and cigarettes for the glove compartment. Oh, fine. I hope Mr. Roach likes Moby Dick cigars. The salesman said they were a whale of a smoke. Is the interior clean? You know how nasty it is riding for any distance in a dirty car. Oh, yes. I vacuumed the floor and beat the traveling rug before I left. Good girl. Can you think of anything else? Well, this is a box of cookies in case they get hungry along the way. And here's a thermos of coffee for them. I guess we've thought of just about everything. I'll wear out the windshield if I polish any more. Jessica, I just thought of something. Don't you think maybe we ought to look at the motor? What for? Mrs. Roach managed to drive in here with a car, so there can't be anything wrong with the motor. Oh, I don't suppose so. Well, if you think the job's finished, here's some blue ribbon I got for the car. Why blue ribbon? Well, I thought it would be nice if we sort of wrapped up cars when they were ready for delivery. What? Well, maybe not exactly wrap them, but you know what I mean. Tie a piece of ribbon on the hood and make it look pretty. Nina, that's a wonderful idea. Blue for sedans and pink for roadsters. And we'll call this job with the blue ribbon our Blue Ribbon Special. I never knew you had such a good head for business, Nina. That will make people think they're getting a bargain. Now, I'll tie a big Cupid's bow on the hood. There now. I'll take care of everything. You know, Wilmer was right. Running a garage is hard work. But we can take a rest for a few minutes. Oh, no, we can't. Here come the boys.
Hello, Nina. Hiya, Jessica.
Hi.
Well, how'd it go? How do you like being grease monkey?
Jesus, look at the office. It seems to be on fire.
Oh, poor Wilmer Bobble. Those are just red chintz curtains. I think they look real cute.
Curtains in a garage. Whoever heard of such an idea?
It was Nina's, and I think it's a darn good one. And just look, you have a clean floor for once. No oil stains or anything. You could eat off it now.
But no one comes into a garage to eat off the floor. We'll be the laughing stock of town.
Oh, Jesus. I hope you don't feel that way.
Well, of course not, honey. I think you've done a swell job.
What's the blue ribbon doing on that automobile over there?
Oh, that's how we wrap cars for delivery. That's Mr. Roach's car. We did all the work on it ourselves.
You mean to say you and Nina worked on Mr. Roach's car? Didn't Sarge help you?
Well, we didn't want help, did we, Nina? No, that's our Blue Ribbon Special, and we're very proud of it.
But the car's going on a long trip. Did you check the ignition system?
No.
Well, how about the spark timing? Did you make any adjustments?
No.
Well, did you go under the hood at all?
No.
Oh, Skeezers, this is terrible. What are we going to do?
There isn't very much we can do. Here come Mr. and Mrs. Roach now.
Stop fretting, you big baby. Nina and I will handle them.
Young lady, it's 5 o'clock. Our car should be ready.
It certainly is, madam. Right over here.
Well, what'd you do to her?
In the glove compartment, you'll find cigars for yourself, sir.
Cigars? By George, I knew there was something I forgot to buy this afternoon. Cigars. What kind are they?
Moby Dick, sir.
By George, that's just my brand. Moby Dick's, a whale of a smoke. Get it, Moby Dick? A whale of a smoke. I bet you never heard that before.
Oh, no, sir, I didn't. That's very good. And on the back seat, Mrs. Roach, you'll find cookies and coffee in case you should get hungry along the way.
Well, that's a very good idea. Cookies and coffee.
By George, Bobble, you seem to have thought of everything. Now, just step inside here and see how the motor sounds.
It's Skeezix. I wish I was a million miles away.
Perfect. Never ran better. It certainly feels good to have her back in shape.
Oh, she's in good shape, all right. We didn't have to do much work on it.
That's right, Mr. Roach. Hardly any work at all.
You boys are being too modest. I'm mighty pleased at the thoughtfulness that went into this job. And you know something? You've given me a darn good idea for my bus line. I may copy your public relations methods and give my passengers cigarettes and coffee.
Why, it's just something we've been doing recently. We call it our Blue Ribbon Special.
Well, it's a smart idea. You're a mighty clever pair, you and Skeezix. I'll remember that when I need repairs on my buses.
Well, thank you, sir. Well, have a pleasant trip.
I'm sure we will, Skeezix, in our Blue Ribbon Special.
Good gosh, Jessica, I never really appreciated you before. How did you do it? How could you tune on Mr. Roach's car without lifting the hood? I heard that engine the other day, and it was really running rough.
Hey, Sarge, come on out here a second. You can learn something. I used to think you were a pretty hot mechanic, but Nina and Jessica know how to fix a motor without even raising the hood.
Well, it's a good thing I raised the hood on that Roach job. The distributor points were all shot.
Oh, stop trying to steal our thunder, Sarge. You know we took care of the Roach car all by ourselves.
Now, not exactly. While you do a house cleaning, or should I call it garage cleaning, I did a little work on Mr. Roach's car.
So that's it, huh? Well, it's a good thing you were here, Sarge. I always said that a woman's place was in her home and not under the hood.
Oh, well, we fixed Mr. Roach's car before and never got his bus line business. I think it was the swell job Jessica and Nina did in public relations that turned the trick.
That's right. All of which goes to prove, Nina, honey, that a good wife is the best public relation in the world.
Your Gasoline Alley friends will be back in just a moment. Now a word from your own Auto Light dealer. And now a word about the next adventure in Gasoline Alley. Here's Skeezy.
Wilmer, why the dark glasses?
Well, it's cheaper than beefsteak these days. I've got a black eye.
A black eye? How come?
I got my black eye because of the green-eyed monster jealousy. Jessica got jealous on account of Madame's hat.
Procter & Gamble brings you the Red Skelton Show, starring Red Skelton, David Rose and his orchestra, our singing stars, the Four Knights, Gwyneth Felton, Lorene Tuttle, Pat McGeehan, and yours truly, Rod O'Connor. Yes, it's the Red Skelton Show, brought to you by Tide, Procter & Gamble's amazing new discovery for your whole family wash.
Tide's in. Dirt's out. Tide gets clothes cleaner than any soap.
Any soap?
Yes, any soap. Tide gets clothes cleaner than any soap. T-I-D-E. Tide.
And now on the last day of 1948, from Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer comes the star of our program, Red Skelton.
I think we got half of Northwestern out here tonight. Started early, huh? Thank you and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Rod, they finally caught those two guys.
What two guys?
Voted for Wallace. Oh, where have you been, buddy? I haven't seen you in a few days, buddy.
Oh, I saw you yesterday, buddy, down by Schwab's drugstore. You were limping. What happened? Did you sprain your ankle or pull a ligament reaching for a laugh?
Huh? No, I forgot to take the walnuts out of my Christmas stocking. Well, Rod, 1949 will soon be here.
Tell me, Red, how did 1948 treat you?
Very seldom. No, it was good to me. I got a new son, new sponsor. Mm-hmm. My family had quite a setback. Now, you take my Uncle Warren, for instance. Mm-hmm. He's in the band back here. He's the 8-ball with the legs.
What happened to him?
Oh, he got drummed out of the Boy Scouts. They caught him trying to start a fire rubbing a Democrat and Republican together.
Say, I saw him a few minutes ago. He started celebrating a little early, didn't he?
Yeah, right after Christmas. In 1924, I mean. He made one nice New Year's resolution, though. In 1948, he's going to look for a job.
You mean he's finally going to work?
No, he's just looking. He don't want to rush in there.
Say, he really imbibes, doesn't he?
No, him? No, he don't imbibe. He just gets up on the table and yells, "Take off my shoes, Mother. The punch bowl's deeper than I thought." You know, some people really make themselves look ridiculous when they celebrate. Like last year up on the boulevard here, some guy got up in the tree, up on one of those Christmas trees, and he kept yelling, "I'm a monkey, I'm a monkey, I'm a monkey."
Well, no kidding. How'd they get him down?
7 cops offered me bananas. Hey, are you and Sylvia going to a club to celebrate?
No, we haven't decided how we'll bring in the new year, but I'd like to do something different.
Why don't you try going home? Why don't you drink a pint of gasoline and go down to the butcher shop and tickle pig's feet? That's different.
Where are you going to celebrate, Red? At some nightclub?
No, they're too crowded. I went to Ciro's last year. You know, that's the annex to the Bank of America. No kidding, that place is so expensive. Last year, for $5, they let us feel a hot roll.
Oh, hey, are you going to the Rose Bowl tomorrow?
Huh?
Are you going to the Rose Bowl tomorrow?
No, I can't afford it.
What, you can't afford tickets to the game?
Can't afford the parking lot. Hey, you know, this Pasadena is full of millionaires. Wait till you park your car over there tomorrow. You'll find out where they got their loot.
Well, the weather out here has been so cold lately. I wonder if they'll have enough flowers to decorate the floats in the Tournament of Roses.
Oh, they're all prepared for that. In case there isn't any flowers, they're going to call it the Tournament of Smudge Spots. They're in bloom now, you know.
Well, Red, tomorrow California goes off daylight savings time. We move our clocks back 1 hour.
Yeah, I'm going to have a tough time setting my timepiece back an hour.
What, have you got, a sundial?
I've got a... Oh, now, wait a minute. He's mad because I told him to go home. Just read what's there, will you?
I don't know why I should read it. You don't.
I'm afraid to risk it, Mr.
Say, Red, our show will go on an hour earlier here in California next Friday, won't it?
Yeah, if it goes on at all. There's so many changes in radio nowadays. Hey, you know what NBC means now?
No.
No Benny Corn.
No Benny Corn, huh? Try one on CBS. What about that?
I just made this one up.
We'll make up another one.
CBS?
Yeah.
Can Benny survive?
Tide's in. Dirt's out. Tide gets clothes cleaner than any soap.
Any soap?
Yes, any soap.
Pardon me, but aren't you a little behind times? You talk about soap, but I've always used these new Suds discoveries.
Well, young lady, you try Tide, and you'll never use anything else, new or old. Because Procter & Gamble's Tide gets clothes cleaner than any soap, any other suds, any other washing product known. Tide not only leaves clothes free from dirt, but removes dingy soap film, too. Yes, Tide has all this cleaning power, yet it's safe. Truly safe for all your washable colors. What's more, Tide actually brightens those soap dull colors. And in hardest water, Tide gets sheets, towels, and shirts whiter than any other washing product known. And say this all goes for your whole family wash, from top to bottom, from linens to work clothes. Yes, I'm talking about everything you wash when I say no soap, no other suds, no other washing product known will get your clothes as clean as Tide.
Now, here are the 5 nights. I'm singing with you, boys. Here are the 4 nights are going to tell you a strange story.
I looked at my horoscope. It said to me, don't be a dope. 'Cause everything you do will turn out all right. 'Cause it's a good day from morning till night. Oh, it's a good day for singing a song, and it's a good day for moving along. Yes, it's a good day. How could anything go wrong? A good day from morning till night. Hallelujah, it's a good day for shining your shoes, and it's a good day for losing your blues. Everything to gain and nothing to lose, 'cause it's a good day from morning till night. I said to the sun, good morning, sun, rise and shine today. Well, you gotta get going if you wanna make a showing, and you know you got to right away. It's a good day for paying your bills, and it's a good day for curing your ills. So take a deep breath and throw away your pills. It's a good day from morning till night. Oh, it's a good day for singing a song, and it's a good day for moving along. Yes, it's a good day. How could anything go wrong? A good day from morning till night. So happy New Year from all of us here. We hope the New Year will bring you good cheer. So happy New Year. Happy New Year. May all your days be bright. For the New Year is coming tonight.
Procter & Gamble present the Skelton television players in A G.I. Joe Remembers New Year's Eve.
My name's Willie Lumplump. New Year's don't mean much to me. Seems like every year the same thing happens. Last year I went home hoping to find my wife's face burning in the window. But the door was locked. I was sitting on the steps when a police car pulled up.
Say, what are you doing here, buddy?
I live here.
Well, then why don't you go inside?
My wife locked the door.
Well, ring the bell.
I just did.
Well, ring it again.
Huh?
Ring it again.
Nuts to him. Let him wait. Look, officer, don't run me in, will you? Every New Year's I get runned in for something. I'm a lonely man. I ain't got a friend to my name.
Well, aren't you forgetting your wife?
I'm trying awful hard to. Every New Year's Eve she gets me into trouble, all because of her. Like back in 1943. I came home on furlough and she was gone. And there I was in my little apartment all alone with my can of Sterno. I can't drink coffee. It keeps me awake. Well, anyhow, I walked down the hall to phone my wife. And I heard a whack captain arguing with her husband who happened to be a colonel.
But I tell you, I did get a present. I can't remember where I hid it.
Oh.
And it's something you couldn't get from a supply sergeant either.
Don't tell me that, you 90-day wonder. You couldn't even find us a quiet place to live off the post. Listen to that racket next door.
That noise isn't coming from next door. It's coming from that service pantry in the hall. Service pantry? That's where I hid your Christmas presents. I'll be right back.
Wait, they're my presents. I want to get them.
Okay, go get them.
Close that door, khaki girl. 6 o'clock.
What's the matter?
There's a man in there.
What?
Oh, a private. Come out of there.
Get lost, blubber boy.
Haven't you learned military courtesy, soldier? Do you see this bird on my shoulder? You know what that means?
That bird on your shoulder?
Yes.
Don't tell me you're an Eagle Scout. I used to be a cub myself. And they threw me out of the Brownie.
What are you doing in this broom closet anyway, soldier?
I'm trying to call my wife long distance, sir.
Well, the telephone booth is downstairs.
And this one's going to be there, too, if this operator don't answer for me. I've been jiggling this hook for 2 hours now.
Look, soldier, you're in the wrong place.
Why don't you go to the right place and leave me alone?
Soldier, the phone booth is downstairs across the hall.
Well, that's where I am, downstairs across the hall.
No, you're not.
Oh, yes, I am. You go downstairs across the hall and look in the phone booth, and if I'm there, you come back up here and apologize.
What's your name? I said, what's your name? What's your name?
Pudding Tame. Ask me again, I'll tell you.
I'll have you court-martialed. Who's your company commander?
Well, I'd rather you didn't speak to my company commander about me. You see, I've been AWOL for 3 weeks, and it might upset him.
No, don't let him upset you. Let me handle it. Look, if you'll pardon us, private, we'd like to get in there.
Oh, you would you? Well, you wait in line like everybody else. Other people would like to make a phone call, too. This is New Year's Eve. Everybody wants to make a phone call, so you get in line and wait like everybody else.
We didn't come here to make a phone call.
Oh, eavesdropping, huh? A couple of listening toms.
Look, it'll only take us a few seconds.
I'm sorry. Beside that blonde boy standing in the corner's next.
That's a broom.
He certainly is. You ever see such straight hair in all your life? Well, that's the first boy I've ever seen with an upsweeper. He's skinny, too, ain't he?
Look, fella, I hid my wife's Christmas presents in this closet. I'm already a week late, so could I please get them?
Yeah, well, what did you hide?
Well, one was a bottle of perfume.
Is that what that was?
You didn't open it, did you, soldier?
Don't call me soldier. Private Sweet Breath is good enough for me. Hey, Dolly, you're just like me. I hid my presents down in the basement, but I'll never do it again. I lost a tube of... It was the large economical. I lost a tube of shaving cream and a sick razor. When I went for them, they were gone. Somebody stole them.
Now, who would take someone else's Christmas present?
I don't know, but while I was down there, a clean-shaved rat skipped by.
Come on, soldier. You've been in there long enough.
Okay. Hey, blonde boy, you better hurry and make your call. They'll throw you out, too.
That's a broom.
Well, I hope he makes out better than I did.
See, here are your Christmas presents, dear.
Oh, how nice. How nice. I got my wife a present, too, you know.
You did?
Yeah, don't look for this, because it ain't there. Yeah, would you like to know what I got her?
Yes, I would.
You would what?
What did you get your wife for Christmas?
A little nosy, ain't she? Well, she always wanted a string of pearls, but they were too... They were too expensive, so I got her 2 oysters and a piece of string. She can work it out from there. I gotta go call her. She's mad at me because I like to celebrate. You know?
Well, now, don't worry about it, soldier. We all bow to temptation now and then.
I didn't bow. I fell flat on my face.
Well, we'll let you go call your wife.
Well, thank you very much, Colonel. Now, let's see. You said this was the closet. This must be the phone booth over here.
No. That's the elevator door.
I know what I'm doing.
You okay?
No, I broke my Mickey Mouse watch. And now David Rose and his Procter & Gamble Orchestra will play Cole Porter's Just One of Those Things.
You know, there's more than one way to do most everything. You take washing dishes. There's the old way and the new. And the new way is with Tide. Yes, Procter & Gamble's Tide washes dishes cleaner than any soap you ever used. And Tide cuts through grease better than any soap ever did. And oh, how much pleasanter and easier dishwashing is with no scum in the water. No greasy ring round the pan. Not to mention the way Tide washed dishes and glasses rinse and dry sparkling clear. Yes, Tide leaves them dazzling, with not a trace of dulling film. And all that happens, believe it or not, even when you don't do a bit of wiping or polishing. So try Tide. See how those Tide suds billow up instantly. See how they last and last, even when you're using the very hardest kind of water. And notice how kind they are to your hands. Yes, for washing dishes, Tide's got everything. So you get Tide tomorrow.
And now, a page from the Mean Little Kid's Diary.
Leave it, Dairy. We'll milk this tonight. Remember when your folks used to get all dressed up to celebrate New Year's? And you seem to be in the way just like Junior, the mean little kid.
Is that you?
Yeah, kiddo. Come on now. Spit it out. Really nice now. Spit it out. Spit it out.
Junior, what on earth are you doing to that cat?
Don't get excited. I'm not hurting him. I'm not hurting him at all. Spit it out. Come on, spit it out. Gee, I overheard the secretary of the skunk patrol say there was $2 in the kitty. Now, if I can just get him to spit it out, I can start off the new year very prosperous. Hey, what you all dressed up for?
Your father and I are going out to see the New Year in.
Oh, well, maybe with me here it will refuse to come in. Do you ever think of that?
Did I hear my name referred to in someone's conversation?
Pop, me stale breadwinner.
Hello, son.
Right.
Lorene, are my clean shirts back from Santa Anita?
Your dress shirts are in the top drawer of the bureau.
Hey, Pop, can you write in the dairy? Hey, what are you wearing anyhow? What are you wearing tonight?
My full-dress tails.
Tails? What you going to do, make a monkey out of yourself?
Junior, I think you'd better get ready for bed.
I don't want to go to bed.
Lorene, have you seen my collar button?
Have you seen his collar button?
It probably rolled under the bureau
Probably
again.
rolled under the bureau again.
Well, have you seen my cufflinks?
Have you seen his
They
cufflinks?
also probably rolled under the bureau
Probably
again.
rolled under the bureau again.
I'll go ask your father. Junior, have you seen Grandpa?
He probably rolled under the bureau.
Go to your room or do something.
Oh, hey, Mommy, where you and Pop going tonight?
Well, we're going to the same place we went last New Year's.
You mean poor old Namor's got to get out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning to bail you out again?
Now, that's enough.
No, hey, what kind of dress is that you wearing? I never seen one like that before.
You haven't?
No,
Well,
you've
it's
got
an
no
evening
feet.
gown.
It is?
Yeah. How do you like it?
Well, don't look now, kiddo, but you got too much stuff crammed in your hip pocket.
That's a bustle.
A bustle?
Yes.
Looks more like a bushel.
That's enough. Now, please, Junior, go to your room.
Oh?
And so I'll know where you are. Lock yourself in and bring me the key.
Okay, go to me room, lock myself in, and bring you the nuts, the whole family. Nuts.
Mother!
Yes, Lorene?
Will you please take care of Junior?
No, that would be against the law.
Snake pit I'm living in, a snake pit.
Will you please come down here?
And miss all of this? I guess not, kiddo.
I have something for you.
Well, just brush your hair with it.
I mean that dart game you got for Christmas, the one you lost.
Oh, you found it?
I found one of the darts. You left it in my chair.
You didn't say on it.
Not for long, I didn't.
Oh, goodness me, you probably bend it all out of shape. Oh, boy, me dart game. I'm going to slide down the banisters quicker. I'll get me this. Well, boy, I never do that again. Never do that, boy. Somebody put chewing gum on the banister and derailed me.
Now, what were you doing up there to upset your mother?
Everything I could. I had me reputation to think of, you know. They're planning to get blotto tonight.
Junior, your parents are only going to celebrate the New Year. That is an American custom.
Oh, yes.
Tonight is the night when people get carried away.
You said it. Some by the police and some by the ambulance. Hey, look, you make them take a taxi cab wherever they're going, because I know me pop with that stagger juice for it. Besides, I have no desire to attend the orphans' picnic next year.
That's a very good suggestion.
Yeah.
But instead of showing so much concern about them, what plans are you making for next year?
Well, I hope to be the imperial potentate of the skunk patrol.
Oh.
I just hope I'm potent enough. Hey, you know what the skunk said to the bear?
No. What?
The bear said to the skunk?
No, dear.
He says, where do you get that stuff?
Drive me out of my mind yet.
Well, you're already past the intersection, so don't worry.
Well,
Pretty
Mother.
Bye.
Happy New Year now.
Happy New Year, Mother.
Happy New Year.
And you too, son.
Good night. He's loaded already.
Well, goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Remember, drive carefully.
Well, here we is, all alone.
Yes. But I'm not afraid. I'm going to let you stay up with me and welcome in the New Year.
Oh, really?
Now, come on. Sit on my lap.
Okay. Oh, wait. Whoa. Say, you lost some weight. You're not as springy as you used to be.
You're just getting heavier, Junior.
Oh.
It won't be long before I won't be able to hold you on my lap anymore.
Well, then I'll hold you on me lap.
You will?
Yeah, of course, I'm going to need a lot of lap, you know. I tell you. The large economical size. Like that tub of shaving cream. Hey, Grandma, what you sitting there looking in the fireplace and daydreaming for?
I'm thinking of you and myself.
Really?
How closely related we are to this hour. You're 1949, and I'm 1948. The new and the old.
Ah, you not so old. Why, you got more teeth than I have, and they're newer than mine. Shall I go get the glass? Would you like to retire for the night? Hey, Grandma, do you think I'll be as smart as you is?
Oh, you'll be much smarter, Junior dear. Because in this atomic age, we have very few hidden facts. Almost every question can be answered with intelligence, not ignorance.
I don't know what you mean.
Well, you will, dear. You will, dear, in time. Now, let's talk about your plans for 1949.
Okay.
Are you going to be destructive and show a loss? Or will you be better in character and show a profit?
I'm going to try to be good on my own, too. I'm not going to say, I'll be good if you give me a nickel. I'll be good if you buy me ice cream. This year, I'm going to be good for nothing.
Well, that's one way of making a resolution and not breaking it. But you're not really bad.
I don't know. I won't be able to start off the new year with a clear slate. I'll tell you that. There's so many things left to do in 1948, you know.
Well, you have a few hours left. Go ahead and do them.
You realize what you're saying? You're a natural-born sport, ain't you, huh? Well, first I want to do is slam the door just to see what would happen. Real hard. Guess what I thought. Guess what I thought.
What are you doing?
I'm getting ready for 1949. Now for that statue of Little Egg Wipe. Little Egypt. I'm sick of looking at that thing.
Oh, my beautiful graduation present. Don't you come here to me.
Not until I do one thing that I wanted to do for a long time. Feed you a can of that spinach. It's so good for me.
Oh, no. Now, you come here to me.
No, you can't stop me. I'm hot tonight.
Junior.
I might really do this upright. I might burn up me playpen. Might even burn up the house. Everybody, me with it. Yes, but, oh, no.
You see? You scared yourself.
No, I just remembered I don't have no matches.
Oh. Well, maybe next year.
Thanks for being with us tonight, and we hope you liked our program well enough to be with us next week. So until next Friday...
This is Red Skelton saying thanks for listening, thanks for buying more and more of that Wash Day Miracle Tide. And Happy New Year, everybody.
Tide's in, dirt's out, Tide gets clothes cleaner than any soap. T-I-D-E, Tide.
Procter & Gamble invites you to join us again with Red Skelton next Friday. And now stay tuned to The Life of Riley, which follows immediately. Red Skelton is heard on this program through the courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer.
Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Bill Stern speaking to you tonight from Hollywood, California.
Bill Stern, the Colgate Shave Cream Man, is on the air. Bill Stern, the Colgate Shave Cream Man, with stories rare. Take his advice and you'll look keen. You'll get a shave that's really clean. You'll be a Colgate brushless fan.
The 479th edition of the Colgate Shave Cream Sports Newsreel.
Featuring America's most famous collector of yarns and stories, radio's #1 sports reporter, Bill Stern.
Good evening. Tonight, as usual, we bring you stories, some legend, some hearsay, but also interesting. We'd like to pass them along to you. We're broadcasting tonight from Hollywood, California. And we're in Hollywood getting ready to broadcast tomorrow's Harbor Bowl football game between Nevada and Villanova. Our guest tonight is the famous motion picture star, Mr. George Raft. But before you meet George Raft in person, here is Real One. Tonight, even though I'm in Hollywood, the land of broken promises, here's one New Year's resolution that any man can keep. That is, to treat your face to shaves that leave your face feeling really comfortable afterward. How do you do it? by using Colgate Brushless Shaving Cream. Try it now on this swell proposition. There is $1 cash that says Colgate Brushless will win you in a flash. And here's why.
Because it's light and fine textured, Colgate Brushless completely surrounds, softens, and supports each bristle better than greasy, heavy creams. No matting down, no clogging. Your razor doesn't skid or skip when you use Colgate Brushless, but cuts through clean and smooth.
You'll see the difference that light, fine texture a Colgate Brushless Shaving Cream makes. Colgate Brushless gets whiskers so soft there's no razor pull, no aftershave tenderness. Your beard comes off slick and smooth, and your face feels cool and refreshed afterward. Yes, sir, for a face-happy New Year, get a large or giant-sized tube or jar of Colgate Brushless Shaving Cream. Use it 1 week. If that doesn't convince you that Colgate Brushless is tops and shaves, just send the carton top back to me, Bill Stern, care of Colgate, Jersey City, Zone 2, New Jersey, and you'll get $1 back, but quick. Now, how's about it? There's $1 cash, says Colgate Brushless wins you in a flash. Reel 2, 1948 in review. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're broadcasting from Hollywood, California, on this, the last evening of 1948. This is New Year's Eve. In a few moments, 1948 will be just a memory. But before this year does become history, let's go back and review the great sports stories of the past year. Remember, some of these are legends, others hearsay. But here they are. Stories that you may have heard during this past year. Memories that must not be forgotten on this, the last night of 1948.
1948 passes in review.
The biggest story of this passing year was the death of Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth, the orphan boy who became the idol of every child, the hero of a nation, the greatest baseball player of all time. And yet, you know, whenever I mention the name of Babe Ruth, I think of a strange story that we told this year, even though actually it was a story that began many years ago. A story that began one day when newsboys were shouting,
"Extra! Extra! Get your paper! Babe Ruth sick! Babe Ruth taken to hospital! Read all about it!"
Babe Ruth was a mighty sick man that day. He was sick because he'd eaten 30 hot dogs and because he drank 12 bottles of soda pop. Strangely enough, the man who fed Babe Ruth those 30 hot dogs and those 12 bottles of pop was then the Yankee bat boy. But the strangest part of this story is that the boy who was responsible for Babe Ruth's illness then, that boy is today playing Babe Ruth's life on the screen. For his name is Bill Bendix. The next story we told in 1948 took place on
February the 20th.
This was the story of a great wrestler who came out of the University of Pennsylvania, a wrestler named Bob Allman. Bob Allman went on to become a great sports announcer. And as he said on this program last February,
"Yes, I'm a sports announcer. I broadcast wrestling matches, track meets, and football games."
That's the story. The story of a great wrestler who became a great sports announcer. Today, as he said, he broadcasts all kinds of sports events, despite the fact that he is blind. Let's continue with our memories of the great sports stories of this passing year on this, our last broadcast of 1948. Remember a story we told on
August the 6th.
Then we were in London, England, broadcasting the 1948 Olympic Games. In London at that time, two British prize fighters, Herbert Bailey and George Pawson, were scheduled to fight. But what the crowd did not know was that George Pawson had agreed to take a dive in the second round. The fight was a fake. In the second round, George Pawson did fall to the canvas just as he'd agreed to do. Not a blow had been struck. A fallen fighter lay on the floor, and while he was being counted out, he winked up at the referee to show that he was all right. And yet when the referee finished the count and went to help this fallen fighter back to his feet, this fighter, who was not hurt, and who was only lying on the floor only because he'd agreed to throw that fight and would fall into that floor without a single blow being struck, was dead. Our 1948 Parade of Memories is passing in review. The next great story we told this year happened on
September the 3rd.
We can never forget the story we told that day. The story of a big game hunter, a hunter named Shorty. A hunter who last year in Africa shot and killed
a lion, a wild buffalo, 5 crocodiles, a hippopotamus, a herd of elephants.
this hunter named Shorty shot the most dangerous big game animals in Africa. And yet the incredible part of the story is the fact that this big game hunter is a girl. A girl who shot all of these animals despite the fact that she was only 12 years old. Tonight on this last day of 1948, we're retelling the best sports stories we've told during this year. Memories of great sports stars that must never be forgotten. Perhaps the next great sports story of 1948 we told on
November the 5th.
This was one of the most incredible stories that we told this year. A story that reached its climax only last November. However, the story began several years ago back in the town of Lander, Wyoming. Lander, Wyoming, then, had a baseball team. And everybody in Lander was proud of their team. And yet the week before the team was scheduled to play for the state championship, tragedy struck. Their star pitcher was kidnapped by a rival team. Immediately, the team manager hired another pitcher, a youngster named Lester Hunt, that he had to bring to Wyoming from Illinois. And the youngster named Lester Hunt from Illinois pitched a wonderful game. In fact, he won the baseball championship of the state of Wyoming. Well, that's the story. The story of a baseball pitcher named Lester Hunt, who was brought from Illinois to Wyoming to pitch a game of baseball. But the strangest part of the story is that this man named Lester Hunt, who never would have come to Wyoming except for his ability as a baseball state. However, in remembering the great sports stories that we told during 1948, we must not forget the story of a man who died in jail during the past year. His name was Cyril Walker, and we told this story on
September the 17th.
Cyril Walker had been a golf caddy. He carried anybody's golf bags for a few pennies. Strange that Cyril Walker should carry anyone's golf bags for a few pennies, because not so long ago, he was the golf champion of the United States.
Just a minute, Bill Stern. May I interrupt you for a moment?
You certainly may, George. Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce the famous motion picture star, George Raft.
Bill, you've talked a lot tonight about your memories of the past year, the year of 1948. And, Bill, I have my memories, too. Memories not only of this year, but of many other years. Years in which I've watched the greatest sports figures pass in review.
Such as who, George?
Well, I remember Mickey Walker, Tony Canzoneri, Billy Patrol, Benny Leonard, Barney Ross, Lou Gehrig, Christy Matheson, Waller Johnson, Ty Cobb, Tris Speaker, Red Grange, Bronco Nagurski, The Four Horsemen, Ernie Nevers, Benny Friedman, Bill Tilden, Bobby Jones, Earl Sandy, George M. Cohan.
George M. Cohan, why, he was a songwriter.
Sure he was, Bill. But George M. Cohan did a lot for sports. You know the story, Bill. Why don't you tell it?
I will, George. And thanks a lot for reminding me of it. Several years ago, there was a great athlete named John Shea out at the University of Notre Dame. He was such a great athlete that finally a dinner was given in his honor. A dinner at which the toastmaster was the famous George M. Cohan. And that night, as George M. Cohan got up to speak, he said,
"Ladies and gentlemen, we're here to pay tribute to John Shea of Notre Dame. I wish I could say that his great athletic records will last forever, but they won't. Someday someone will come along and beat these records. That's true in sports, but it's not true in my business. I'm a songwriter, and if I write a great song, it does last. Since John Shea is musically inclined, I'd like to suggest that he devote himself to creating music that might last, rather than athletic records that will not last."
John Shea of Notre Dame was impressed with what George M. Cohan had said that night. That's why later on, back in George M. Cohan's apartment, he and Mr. Cohan stood around the piano talking of music. And in that room that night, under George M. Cohan's guidance, John Shea began a song that was destined to become America's best-known college march, for it was this night that John Shea wrote the song that's inspired the men of Notre Dame.
While her loyal sons are marching onward to victory.
The next time you hear that great song at the University of Notre Dame, remember that it might never have been written, but for a night some years ago when a young composer, John Shea of Notre Dame, was introduced to the famous George M. Cohan, who showed him how to write a song. Showed him how by writing a song himself that same night. A song that's lasted just as long as Notre Dame's Victory March. For it was on the same night in that same room that Notre Dame's song was written, that George M. Cohan wrote his immortal song. It's a grand old flag.
On the grand old flag should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind.
Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. From Hollywood, California, on this, the last night of the old year, 1948, we brought you the best stories that we told during this past year. Stories that must not be forgotten. Stories from out of the past that have made up our profiles and portraits for posterity. Since we're broadcasting from Hollywood tonight, here's the best in the far west, Don Stanley.
Men, a shaving cream has to be mighty good to make a proposition like this. There's $1 cash, says Colgate Brushless wins you in a flash. Try it and see for yourself. You'll discover this.
Because it's light and fine textured, Colgate Brushless completely surrounds, softens, and supports each bristle better than greasy, heavy creams. There's no matting down, no clogging. Your razor doesn't skid or skip when you use Colgate Brushless. It cuts through clean and smooth.
Yes, that light, fine-textured Colgate Brushless really fixes tough whiskers, makes shaving wonderfully fast, slick, and easy, and leaves your face feeling delightfully relaxed and comfortable.
Tomorrow, buy a large or giant-sized tube or jar of Colgate Brushless shaving cream. Use it a week. If you are not convinced that Colgate Brushless makes shaving right for you, then I'll send you $1. Just mail the carton top back to me, Bill Stern, care of Colgate, Jersey City, Zone 2, New Jersey. Now, how's about it? There is $1 cash, says Colgate Brushless wins you in a flash. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the 3-0 mark for tonight. We've been broadcasting tonight from Hollywood, California. Next week we'll be back, same time, same stations, also from Hollywood, when our guest will be Eddie Cantor. See you then. And until then, I'll be seeing you on the screen in the News of the Day newsreels at your favorite Lowe's or Associated Theaters. Now, till next Friday night at the same time, when our guest will be Eddie Cantor, this is Bill Stern wishing you all a good night from Hollywood.
Bill Stern, the Colgate Shaving Man, is on his way. Bill Stern, the Colgate Shaving Man, headline. Told you tales of sport heroes, the inside dope he really knows. So listen in next Friday night. Colgatt.
Tomorrow night over NBC, hear Colgate's Hour of Fun. Hilarious Judy Canova, followed immediately by a day in the life of Dennis Day. George Raft, who appeared on this program tonight, may soon be seen starring in his latest picture, Outpost in Morocco. The Bill Stern Show tonight came from Hollywood, California. This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
This is Ronald Coleman, inviting you to radio's most dramatic half hour, Favorite Story. Favorite Story invites you to hear a story discovery. It was found on a London bookstall by Jerome Robbins, the young choreographer who did such brilliant work in the Broadway hits On the Town, High Button Shoes, and Look Ma, I'm Dancing. Robbins thought this yarn so unusual that he immediately sent us a copy and named it his favorite story. A half-dozen cables have sped back and forth across the Atlantic to obtain the rights to dramatize this strange tale. So, for all of you who like your narratives on the startling side, here's John Keir Cross's The Glass Eye. There are things that are funny so that you laugh at them. And there are things that are funny, but you don't laugh at them at all. You can take, for example, the case of Julia. Is it possible to laugh at people like Julia? I've never been able to. Yet Julia is funny. There's something funny in that gaunt shape, in those wide and earnest eyes, in the red, moist tip of that nose of hers that seems longer than any nose in the world. Julia is over 40, 42 to be exact. A friend of mine, a man who makes up verse for the magazines, wrote a poem about Julia. He called it To Julia, a song for a lost, mad girl. And it went like this. Oh, she thought she was in China and a million miles away, all among the tall pagodas where the shining geishas play, and the mockingbirds were singing and the lanterns burning red, and the temple bells were ringing softly, softly in her head. Now, Julia isn't really mad, just strange. You'd be strange, too, if you led the life Julia leads. I want you to hear a story about Julia. Since most of what happened is so terribly personal, let's climb the stairs to Julia's dusky little flat and sit down next to her, as if we weren't even there, and try to listen to what goes on inside her head.
It didn't happen. It never happened. I might have imagined it, you know. Yet this room is real enough. The yellow wallpaper stained with damp at the corners. The washstand. The gas ring a trifle rusty. The mantel shelf with the 8-day clock. And in front of it, on a square of velvet, the glass eye, his glass eye, as real as anything else in the room. No, I mustn't look at it. I mustn't keep it there as a terrible reminder. Why do I? Why? It's the only memory I have. The only memory. It started late one summer. It was warm in London. I was working for Mr. Mofrey, a solicitor. I remember turning on my stool and waiting until he had finished writing a sentence in a law piece. Mr. Mofrey.
Yes, Miss Benzel?
Would you mind, Mr. Mofrey, if I left about 20 minutes early this afternoon?
Oh? What's the special occasion, Miss Benzel?
I have to meet a train. My sister's boy is coming to spend a few days with me. They live in Lister.
Oh, yes, that's the crippled lad, isn't it?
Yes, Mr. Mofrey. My sister likes to spend a bit of time visiting her husband's people in Wales. And so Bernard comes to London. I do my best to show the poor little chap a good time.
That's very generous of you, Miss Benson. What sort of things do you do to amuse the lad?
I take him to the cinema. I buy him a toy. He's a quiet child. He doesn't ask for much.
Hunsecker down the hall mentioned that there was a good bill at the Old Palace Music Hall. I imagine the lad would like that. Acrobats and such. There's also a ventriloquist. One of those chaps who throws his voice.
Oh, that's a fine suggestion, Mr. Mofrey. I'll get tickets for tonight. Thank you very much, Mr. Mofrey. I met Bernard at his train. He was a very pale child, 11 years old. We had supper at the ABC tea shop. A mutton chop apiece and a large baked potato between us. It tasted good. Bernard said very little, but it was good to eat with someone else, with a guest. We went to the theater and sat in red plush stalls. There was an acrobat act, a man and a woman in white tights and spangled panties. I'm afraid I found it rather dull. Now, let me see, Bernard. What's next? Max Collodi, I guess you pronounce it. The gentleman ventriloquist with his amazing dummy, George. Oh, I think this will amuse you, Bennett. The curtain rose, and I saw him.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I and my talented little dummy here will be pleased to entertain you.
Watch out who you're calling a dummy, Max. You're not so smart yourself.
How about a song, George? A nice, smart song.
Don't mind if I do, Max, old man. Isn't he dull?
Go ahead, George.
Stop shoving me, Max. I'm going. There was I, a-waiting at the church, a-waiting at the church, a-waiting at the church. This here girl, she looked.
As he sat there on the stage with the spotlight on him, I knew there was no one more handsome in the whole world than Max Collodi. His dark hair gleamed, his shoulders were so broad. George, the dummy on his knee, was a grotesque doll about 3 feet high. I hardly listened to their act. I just stared and stared at the incredibly handsome young man. And I knew then that there could be no other man in all the world for me but the ventriloquist, Max Collodi. I took Bernard home as if I were in a dream. I gave him a cup of hot milk and put him to bed in a cot behind a curtain. Then I went to bed at the far side of the room. I lay for a long time staring at the ceiling, listening to the night sounds. Footsteps through the window from the street. The slow footsteps of a policeman. The strolling footsteps of lovers. Lovers. Lovers.
Oh, come on. Come on now.
And all the time I kept thinking, Max Collodi. Mrs. Max Collodi. Madame Collodi. Or is it Senora Collodi? Oh, footsteps mounting the stairs. The young man in the flat about coming home. But suppose I was Senora Collodi. Right now, I'm lying in the upper room of our villa in Italy. Max has been appearing at the theater. He's coming home now, dead tired. It's his footsteps coming up the stairs. In another moment, the door will open. He'll come in. He'll lean down and kiss me. I'll hold him very close. It is the young man upstairs. He's going into his flat. Senora Collodi. After Bernard went back to Lister, I went to the music hall again. I prayed that Max Collodi would still be there. He was. He was. It was his last night. I sat so impatiently through the dreadful acrobat act. And then he came on. He came on. I didn't listen to his act at all. I just stared at him.
A ventriloquist doll am I. A ventriloquist doll, that's all.
And that's all you are, son.
Well, don't rub it in, man. Don't rub it in.
I didn't care what George was. It was Max, his master, I cared about. What a nice small bow he made. Such gentlemanly restraint. Bowing without standing up with the dummy still on his knee. They were applauding him, my Max. It was impossible to believe that anybody could be so handsome. I had to see him again. I had to know where he was going from here. I bought a copy of Stage. Here it is. Finsbury next week, then Streatham, Bradford, Blackpool. Yes, I'm going to do it. Mr. Murphy.
Yes, Miss Benson?
I wish to give my notice.
Huh?
I'm leaving your service.
Leaving, Miss Benson? Whatever for? Aren't you happy here?
I must be frank with you, Mr. Beaufrey. I'm not. I'm leaving to go with the man I'm in love with. I said that so surely, so certainly, like a young girl. Oh, but I never would have said it if I knew then what I know now. As I sit here in the room with the yellow wallpaper, looking at that hideous thing on my mantelpiece, the glass eye.
We're ready for Act 2 of this week's favorite story. Lurene Tuttle stars as Julia in John Keir Cross's remarkable tale called The Glass Eye. Julia sits in the half-light of her room, hardly daring to look at her mantelpiece. For there, on a square of black velvet, is the glass eye.
Why did I do it? Years of loneliness, solitary meals, an ugly room with yellow wallpaper, no one to love. And then suddenly, Max Collodi. I had a small capital, simply invested. I'd accumulated it through many years of saving. I drew it all out. I would live on this and follow Max Collodi around the country. Just looking at him, sitting there so handsome in the spotlight on the stage. Just looking at him was enough. I went to every performance he gave for weeks, paying my 3 shillings 6, sitting in the darkness, looking at the light. But then I felt I had to meet him. Maybe, if I were bold enough, I would even go up to him and say, Mr. Collodi, I enjoy your performance very much. And perhaps even shake his hand quickly for just a moment. At Strutham, I got up enough courage and waited at the stage entrance in the shadows.
Good night, Pop. Performance tonight. Watch those boobs out front on a window chuckle. Two little things here.
I watched them all go out. The acrobat, the fat lady who rode the bicycle in the closing act, the juggler with the funny ears. But no Max Collodi. I waited a long time. They started to turn out all the lights. The old man at the stage door started to lock up the theater. I walked up to him slowly.
Who's that?
I beg your pardon, sir. I'm sorry to bother you.
Yes. What do you want?
I know you'll think this is very odd. But can you tell me if Max Collodi has come out yet?
You're waiting for Max Collodi?
Yes.
Well, that's a good one. She's waiting for Max Collodi.
I knew I wasn't good enough for him. People would laugh. I was old, and he was young and handsome. But even so, I wrote Max Collodi a letter. I wrote it very carefully. I told him how much I enjoyed his performance and wondered if perhaps I might be privileged to meet him. Days later, I received a reply. I tore open the letter. My dear Miss Benson, I am grateful for your praise. I regret to say, however, that I never grant interviews. Cordially yours, Max Collodi. Oh. But I kept going to his performances, and I kept on writing to him. It surprised me very much that he went on replying. And as time passed, he seemed to grow warmer in his letters, even friendly. Once in Bradford, he asked me to send him a photograph. I found a blurred snapshot of myself.
In it I appeared on a lawn against a background of fuchsia and veronica bushes. Very shy, with my head to one side. It was a very old snapshot, a daylight exposure print on matte paper. People had said in those days that it was a dead spit image of me. The bobbed hair caught up in a bandeau of Japanese silk. The frock with no waist that ended above the knee. The earrings of emerald-cut glass. But it was a picture of me at 23. I shouldn't have sent it. The whole thing wouldn't have happened if I hadn't sent that picture. It was at Blackpool that I finally met Max Kalodi. I'd been suggesting again and again in my letters that someday we might meet. And finally, a letter came. A very special letter. I ripped it open. Dear Miss Benson, I believe that I might grant you a short interview, but we must make certain conditions. You are to stay only for 5 minutes this first time. Later on, perhaps, if you still wish to go on seeing me, we might arrange longer appointments. I wish to state at this time that I have an aversion in real life to strong light, being so much in my professional life under the glare of the lamps and the footlights. So my hotel room will be dimly lit. If you do not mind being received in a half-lit hotel bedroom by a strange man with no other chaperone beside my dummy, George. Hey, my. Then would you come to the Seabank Temperance Hotel, Mortimer Street, Blackpool, at 10 p.m. on Saturday evening next, after my show at the Winter Gardens Theater. At that time, I will be happy to tell you something about myself, and to hear in return something about you. Oh, I'm going to meet him. I'm going to meet Max Kalodi. All day that Saturday I spent in front of the mirror at the boarding house where I was staying. But powder and lip rouge, used discreetly of course, could not make me look 23 again. All the makeup in the world couldn't keep me from looking 42. I spent hours of agony before I could make up my mind what to wear. In the end, I knew there was no hope of looking like the snapshot. And I blessed Max for suggesting that the room be dim and that the interview last only 5 minutes. At 10 minutes to 10, I was walking up and down in a dark place near his hotel, waiting. It was the longest 10 minutes I had ever spent in my life. I glanced at my watch. 2 minutes to 10. I pushed open the swinging door of the hotel and walked up to the reception desk.
Yes, lady?
Could you tell me the number of Mr. Max Kalodi's room, please?
They're number 7 on the first floor. Stairway to your left.
As I walked across the lobby, I felt his eyes on my back. I mounted the stairs, taking care not to trip over the worn carpet. I dabbed at the tip of my nose with a small scented handkerchief. After roses from Boots at 4 and 6 the bottle. Number 5. Number 6. Number 7. Oh, God. Help me. Help me.
Won't you come in?
He was sitting behind a large mahogany table. Even in the dim light, I could not mistake him. He was so handsome. He didn't get up. He just inclined his head in a brusque, slightly stiff way I knew so well. It was the bow with which he acknowledged applause in the theater.
Dear lady, pray sit down.
Thank you. I sat down. I didn't know what to say. What was there to say? To gain time, I quickly glanced around the room. An ordinary room with flowered wallpaper. There was a bed, a wardrobe, a small chest of drawers. Rolled grotesquely on a chair to Max's left was the dummy George. So lifeless there in the half-light. Mr. Collodi.
Max Collodi at your service.
Mr. Collodi. My voice sounded thin and false. Not myself speaking at all, but someone else. Someone else in my body. Trembling, aching, sick in the stomach. And suddenly there swept into me as I sat there a terrible and overwhelming desire. I wanted to touch Max Collodi. Just to touch him once. To touch his hands, his forehead, his blue-tinted jaw. It was a craving so terrible I could not resist. I got up. I stood for a moment staring wildly, hardly breathing. I walked quickly around the table.
Madam, what are you doing?
I touched him on the cheek and... He toppled sideways and fell from his chair.
You crazy woman! What have you done? What have you done?
The dummy George was standing up on the chair, his hideous face twisted with rage. And as I stared, I realized that the dummy George was a living creature. And that what I had loved was nothing but wood and cloth and glass. At last I had met Max Collodi, the ventriloquist. I stared at the dummy on the floor, the beautiful staring face I had loved so much. One eye was gone and sawdust poured from his head, but it still smiled. And all the time that misshapen dwarf was weeping. That unlovable thing, the real Max Collodi, who had worked the movements of that handsome mouth with strings and wires. How could he have hoped to get away with it? He who was as hungry for affection as I was. I started to run from the room. My foot trod on something round and hard. I stooped and picked it up, then ran screaming from the hotel. It was the glass eye. The glass eye of the thing on the floor. The glass eye that rests now as a terrible relic on its black velvet pad on my mantelpiece.
Now that is the story. Tell me honestly, did you ever think that the real ventriloquist would turn out to be just a dwarf? And that the big handsome man was really only the dummy? Well, it had me surprised. That's what we call a switch ending, and it's the kind that would have made O. Henry proud indeed. Urine Tuttle is to be warmly congratulated for her fine acting as Julia, and Byron Kane deserves a bow for his portrayal of Max Collodi, both sizes. Claude Sweeten, as always, composed and conducted the music. Jerome Lawrence and Robert E. Lee wrote and directed this pre-radio adaptation of John Keir Cross's The Glass Eye. Our thanks also to choreographer Jerome Robbins, who chose The Glass Eye as this week's favorite story.
Say, it's time for...
All Sweet. All Sweet is the margarine with the delicate natural flavor.
All Sweet. The margarine with the delicate natural flavor. Swift's All Sweet Margarine invites you to meet the meat. It's a bright, clear afternoon in the peaceful town of Civic Center, and as Peggy is on her way home from school, a voice rings out through the crisp winter air, crying,
Yo-ho! A Peg! Hey, Peg, wait for me!
could wait for a person. I told you I want to walk home with you this afternoon.
Oh, gee, Priscilla, I'm sorry. I guess I forgot and just sort of wandered off by myself.
You're sure acting awful funny lately, Peg.
Funny?
Not funny, ha-ha. Funny peculiar. Ever since you started going out with this mysterious new boyfriend last week.
You mean Jimmy Jones?
How many mysterious new boyfriends have you got? Holy cow, Peg. Do you realize that you've known this guy for over a week and you haven't dished off the dirt about him yet?
Jill, I think it's a sign of immaturity for girls to talk about boys.
Are you kidding? My gosh. This Jones guy must be an awful creep if you don't want to talk about him.
He is not a creep. Jimmy is tall, dark, handsome, intelligent, a beautiful dancer, and very, very sophisticated.
Ah, go on.
It's true. The trouble with you, Jill, is that you don't know any older men.
Older men, Peg? Is Jimmy old?
Well, he must be all of 20, maybe even 21.
Gosh.
He's very mature and distinguished. His hair is beginning to turn gray at the temples.
Turn gray? And he's only 21?
Well, he's an old 21. And besides, he worries a lot.
He does? Oh, golly, Peg, I sure would like to meet him. Look, my mother said I could have a party at our house next Saturday night. Why don't you bring Jimmy?
Well, Jimmy and I would just love to come, Jill, but I don't think Jimmy would enjoy it.
Why not?
Well, because everybody else there would be so much younger. Compared to Jimmy, boys like Harold and Beanie Barker are mere children.
Oh, so that's it. So you are going high-hat on us, just like Harold said you were.
Did Harold happen to say anything like that about me?
He certainly did, and he was right.
That's not true, Jill. Harold's just jealous.
Then will you bring Jimmy to my party Saturday night?
But I can't.
You mean you can, but you won't. Okay, Peggy Meeks. As far as I'm concerned, you can find yourself another bosom friend.
Oh, Jill. Jill, you don't mean that.
I most certainly do. Goodbye, Miss High-Hat.
Jill! Jill, wait!
Well, what do you want?
Look, Jill, if I tell you why I can't bring Jimmy Jones to your party Saturday night, will you promise not to tell a soul?
Well, you know me, Peg.
And that's why I want you to promise. Now, raise your right hand on your sacred honor. Cross your heart, hope to die.
Oh, gosh, Peg.
Do you promise, Jill?
Of course I promise, Peg. Now, why can't you bring Jimmy Jones to my house?
Because Jimmy Jones is a myth.
Well, gee, Peg, what difference does it make what nationality he is?
Oh, no, Jill, you don't understand. Jimmy Jones doesn't exist. There isn't any Jimmy Jones. I made him up. He's just a figment of my imagination.
Peg, sometimes I have a hard time understanding you. What do you want with an invisible boyfriend when there's so many visible ones running around loose?
Because Harold wouldn't be jealous of any of the visible boys we know in Civic Center.
What's Harold got to do with it?
Oh, Jill, how can you be so damn... Don't you see? I thought up Jimmy Jones just to make Harold jealous.
But why do you want to make Harold jealous?
Because he was beginning to take me for granted. And when a boy starts taking a girl for granted, Jill, the girl better do something. And besides, I heard very confidentially from a very reliable source that Harold went to the movies last week with a woman named Frances.
Gosh, Peg, I got a feeling you're playing with fire. What if Harold should find out that Jimmy Jones doesn't exist?
Oh, I just die, Jill. I just die. But he won't find out unless somebody tells him.
You mean somebody, meaning me?
Yes.
Oh, you don't have to worry about that, Peg. I'll be as silent as the grave.
Just see that you are.
But speaking of such unpleasant things as graves, Peg, I hope that your invisible man doesn't turn out to be a Frankenstein.
Well, friends, maybe Peggy's Jimmy Jones is a myth. But here's something that's as real as today. Your friends, the Meeks, Swift and Company, and all of us sincerely wish you and yours the happiest of New Years. And we hope that you'll continue to drop in and pay us a weekly visit every Saturday throughout 1949. Because we're proud and happy to claim each and every one of you as a good and close friend. And while we're expressing our fondest wishes on this New Year's Day, we might add that it's our sincere hope that all of you will let the delicate, natural flavor, the glorious golden goodness of all sweet margarine continue to brighten your meals, lend its wonderful savory goodness to all the food you eat, and help keep you well and happy with its abundance of marvelous nourishment all through the new year. Yes, all sweets, the margarine with the delicate, natural flavor, will do a lot toward making your new year happy and bright. So, folks, from all of us to all of you, Happy New Year.
Well, come in, Harold. Come in.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Meeks. Peggy home?
Well, she's out in the kitchen with her mother. You wait right here. I'll call her.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, Peggy.
Yes, Daddy.
Hey, that was Harold at the door. He's in the front room.
Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes, you go in and see him, dear. Now, I'll finish trying to this.
Well, thank you, Daddy.
Hiya, Peggy.
Did you wish to see me, Harold?
Well, I didn't walk clear over here just for the exercise. Peg, how about going to the movies with me tomorrow night?
Tomorrow evening?
Yeah, there's a swell show at the Bijou.
Oh, I'm very sorry, Harold, but I'm going to be engaged tomorrow evening.
Engaged? Peggy, aren't you a little young to be thinking of marriage?
Oh, I don't mean that kind of engaged, silly. I mean, I already have a date for tomorrow night.
With this Jimmy Jones character, I suppose?
Yes. But for your information, Jimmy Jones is not a character.
You ought to know you're the only one who's ever seen him.
What do you mean by that remark?
Nothing. Only I've been thinking. It's kind of funny.
What's funny?
How you can go out with a guy as much as you say you've been going out with this Jimmy Jones, yet no one has ever seen you with him.
Harold Harbinger, have you been talking to Jill Donovan?
Jill? No, why?
Oh, I just wondered.
Look, Peg, you wouldn't be kidding me, would you?
Kidding you?
About Jimmy Jones. I mean, there really is such a guy, isn't there?
Well, of course there is.
You're sure?
I'm positive. Harold Harbinger, what are you trying to imply?
Nothing. I just got to wondering if maybe you just made up this Jimmy Jones guy.
Made him up? Oh, what a ridiculous suggestion. And why would I do a thing like that?
To make me jealous.
Oh, Harold, you do have the strangest ideas sometimes.
So you got a date with Jimmy Jones tomorrow night, huh?
Yes. Jimmy is coming over, and we're going to spend a nice, quiet evening listening to symphonic music.
Look, if Jimmy Jones is going to be over here tomorrow night, I think I'll drop around, too.
Just drop around?
Sure, I'd like to meet the guy.
Well, you most certainly will not drop around.
Why not? Even if he did take my girl away from me, there's no reason why we shouldn't be friends, is there?
Oh, there most certainly is. There's a lot of reasons why you and Jimmy could never be friends. For one thing, he's older, much more serious. He's not always kidding and joking like you younger men.
Don't worry, Peg. I won't crack one joke while he's around.
Harold Harbinger, you stay away from this house tomorrow night. Do you understand?
But gosh, Peg, I just want to meet the guy. Say, maybe I was right.
About what?
About there not really being any Jimmy Jones. Oh, boy, would you look silly if there isn't.
Harold Harbinger, you have the most suspicious mind of any man I know.
Holy smoke, it's getting late and I've got a lot of studying to do. So long, Peg. See you tomorrow night. You and Jimmy Jones.
If you come around this house tomorrow night, Harold, I won't let you in.
Then I'll peek through the windows. I'm going to see this Jimmy Jones or know the reason why. Good night.
Jeepers. If Harold doesn't see Jimmy Jones, he'll know the reason why.
Peggy, dear, you've done some very ridiculous things, but creating a mythical boyfriend takes the prize.
Mother, dear, I don't mind your criticizing me, but would you mind making it constructive criticism? What am I going to do?
Why don't you tell Harold the truth?
Mother, even I could think of that. Don't you see? I can't let Harold know that Jimmy Jones doesn't exist. If he found that out, he'd take me even more for granted than he did before. Oh, you know how men are. You're married to one, aren't you?
I'm married to your father, dear. Beyond that,
Agatha, dear. I'm home.
Here's Daddy now.
Oh, hello, Agatha. Peggy, dear.
Mortimer, what are you doing home from work so early?
Well, dear, I came home to break the bad news.
Bad news? What's happened?
Well, it hasn't happened yet, but it's going to.
What in the world are you talking about?
Agatha, believe me, I tried to get out of it, but I couldn't.
Couldn't get out of what?
Having him to dinner. He invited himself.
Oh, Mortimer, I can't make head or tail of what you're talking about. Who invited himself to dinner?
Young Charlie Tompkins.
Charlie Tompkins? I don't believe I've ever met him, dear.
No, of course you haven't. Of course, I just met him today for the first time. He's the son of Dave Tompkins, the most grand exalted beaver of Sycamore Springs.
And he's coming to dinner tonight?
Yes, he's staying in town for a few days, and he stopped up at the office and introduced himself. It was just at noontime, and since he was the son of a lodge brother, I naturally took him to lunch.
Naturally.
And that's where I made my mistake, Agatha. I have never met a worse young man in my whole life.
Oh, well, what's the matter with him, dear?
Agatha, Charlie Tompkins is a card.
A card?
The joker.
I don't understand, dear.
Yeah, well, you will. He plays practical jokes. He wears a flower in his buttonhole that squirts water, and he puts rubber insects in the soup.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. At lunch, he gave the waiter a hot foot and almost got us thrown out of the restaurant. But I couldn't get out of having him to dinner. You know, the lodge's motto, beavers are welcome wherever beavers are, and that includes beavers' sons.
Well, now, Mortimer, don't worry about it. We can put up with the young man for a few hours if he's the son of a most grand exalted beaver. I'm sure he's not as bad as you painted him.
No, he's worse.
Well, I'll go start dinner.
Daddy, how old is this Charlie Thompson?
Oh, I don't know, dear. He's about 20 or 21.
Really? Oh, jeepers, Daddy, that's just right.
Oh, what do you mean, dear?
Look, I can't explain now, but would you mind if I asked Charlie Thompson to do me a favor this evening?
What sort of a favor?
Pretend that he's Jimmy Jones.
Jimmy Jones? Who's Jimmy Jones?
My invisible boyfriend.
Oh, well, that makes you... You're what?
Oh, I know it must be very confusing to your father, but I'll explain later.
Oh, that's all right, dear. That's all right. You have my permission to do anything you want to if you can make Charlie Tompkins invisible.
And then, do you know what I did?
No, Charlie. What did you do?
I took a pair of scissors, see? And I snipped off the necktie right below the knot. It was a riot.
I'm sure it was, Charlie. More coffee, Mortimer?
Yes, dear, please.
Oh, here's the sugar, Mr. Meeks.
Thank you, Charlie. You know, this is especially good coffee tonight, Agatha. Help! You old bastard! I've been poisoned!
Oh, boy, that was a good one.
Daddy, what's the matter?
Mortimer, dear.
Let me get out to the kitchen for some water.
Don't worry, Mr. Meeks. I just put some salt in the sugar bowl.
Mortimer, are you all right?
Yes, dear, yes. I'm all right now, I think. Yeah.
Mortimer, I can't stand that young man.
Yeah.
We've got to get him out of this house immediately.
I guess don't get excited. After all, Charlie's our guest. We can't insult him.
Oh, can't we? Well, just watch me.
Oh, now, Agatha, please remember, Charlie is the son of a most grand exalted beaver. And besides, he came just for dinner. Now, I'm sure he'll be leaving in a little.
Yes. I'd be sure, too, Mortimer. Except for one thing.
What's that, dear?
If that young man only came for dinner, I'd like to know why he brought a suitcase.
Now, let me get this straight, kid. You've been shooting a line about having a boyfriend named Jimmy Jones.
That's right, Charlie.
But the guy you're trying to make jealous, he ain't convinced.
Yes. And nothing I could say would keep Harold from coming over here tonight to meet Jimmy Jones.
And so you want me to make like I'm this mythical boyfriend, huh?
Will you do it for me, Charlie? It's very important. Gosh, I couldn't look Harold in the face again, ever, if he found out there really wasn't any Jimmy Jones.
Look, baby, if I go into this act for you, what's there in it for me?
What do you mean?
I mean, how about a little kiss? You're young, but you're kind of cute. Come here.
Oh, please, Charlie. Oh, let go of me.
Oh, come on, kid. A little kiss never hurt anybody, and besides,
Oh, that must be Harold now. Oh, Charlie, will you pretend you're Jimmy Jones?
Okay, Peggy. I'll sing along with you. What the heck? Anything for a laugh.
Oh, thanks, Charlie, thanks. I'll answer the door.
Hiya, Peg. Here I am.
So I see.
Is he here? Jimmy Jones, I mean.
But of course he's here. I told you he would be. If you insist upon inflicting yourself on Jimmy and me, Harold, come on in. Jimmy!
What do you want, baby?
Jimmy, I want you to meet a young friend of mine, Harold Harbinger. Harold, this is Jimmy Jones.
Hello, Jimmy.
Hiya, Harbinger. Shake hands. Put it here.
Guys!
What's the matter, Harbinger? Do I shock you?
What do you have in your hand?
Nothing but this little shock gadget. Good for a lot of laughs. Hey, what's that on your necktie?
Where?
Right there.
Oh, my nose!
Boy, oh boy, what a square. You fall for all the old ones, don't you, Joe?
My name's Harold, not Joe, and if you pull one more trick on me,
Joe what? Joe.
Harold! Jimmy!
You stay out of this, baby. Now, what were you saying you were going to do to me if I pull another trick on you?
Step outside and I'll show you.
Why step outside? If you want to try something, try it right here.
Okay, you're asking for it.
And you're the guy who's going to get it.
Jimmy, stop that this instant.
I don't like guys that ain't got a sense of humor. Come on, get up off the floor if you want some more of the same.
Oh, my God.
You big bully.
Me?
Yes, you. If you weren't so much bigger and older than Harold, he'd show you. Harold, dear. Are you hurt?
Take your hands off me, Peggy Meek. I don't want any sympathy from you.
Oh, Harold.
And I don't ever want to see you or talk to you again. Goodbye.
Harold. Oh, Harold.
What a jerk.
You listen to me, you Charlie Tompkins. If there is a jerk around here, it's you.
Yeah?
Yes, now get out.
Get out.
You heard me. Get out. I'm getting rid of you right now.
Oh, yeah, that's what you think.
What do you mean?
I mean, I like it here, so I'm staying.
Staying?
Sure, why not? It's a nice house, good food, and I've got a cute little kid like you to keep me company.
But you can't stay here if you're not wanted.
No?
No, I'll have you put out.
Now, look, baby. You wouldn't want me to go to this Harbinger guy and tell him who I really am, would you?
Oh, no.
I didn't think so. You said yourself you could never look him in the face again if he found out there really wasn't any Jimmy Jones.
Oh, but...
So I think I'll stick around here for a few days.
Why, this is blackmail.
Sure. But you'd rather be blackmailed than have Harold Harbinger know that you created Jimmy Jones out of whole cloth.
Well, I may have created Jimmy Jones out of whole cloth, but he was all wool until I met you, Charlie Tompkins.
You know, winter's not so bad, really, especially if you sort of go along with it. For instance, get out and enjoy some ice skating or tobogganing, or take long walks through freshly fallen fluffy snow. Just be sure you're warmly dressed and well fortified with heat and energy-giving food. And that's where All Sweet margarine can be a real winter pal. You see, All Sweet is chock full of good nourishment. Now, take sandwiches, for example. Did you know that All Sweet actually doubles the food energy of bread? To say nothing about adding important amounts of vitamin A. Then, vegetables. Use delicate, natural-flavored All. Just try carrots and green beans with All Sweet savory goodness melting over them. And old-fashioned stewed tomatoes, served piping hot and flecked with little golden polka dots of melted All Sweet. Yes, ma'am, that's the super delicious way to get real nourishment. So remember, on cold winter days, All Sweet, the margarine with the delicate natural flavor, adds a lot of food energy, a lot of mighty good eating to all your meals.
But, Mortimer, that horrible young man has been here for 3 days. I can't stand him anymore.
Yes, I know, Agatha, I know. But Charlie is Dave Tompkins' son, and Mr. Tompkins is one of the most important beavers in the state. Now, I cannot risk insulting Charlie.
Well, I don't see why not, Daddy.
Peggy, if I got Mr. Tompkins mad at me, he could have me run out of the beavers.
Well, Mortimer, all I have to say is that it's soon going to be a question of whether Mr. Tompkins runs you out of the beavers, or that son of his runs all of us out of our home.
As long as he's here, Harold won't speak to me.
Now, that is your own fault, Peggy. You're the one who told Harold that Charlie was Jimmy Jones.
I know it, Daddy, and I've tried to think of a way to get rid of Charlie, but I can't. Not without him going to Harold and telling him about Jimmy Jones. I've even consulted Jill, and she can't think of anything.
Well, when Jill can't think, the situation's hopeless. Well, I've got to get to work.
I'm going downtown with you this morning, Mortimer. I simply have to get away from that young man for a little while.
Yeah, all right, dear. All right, come on, let's go.
Morning, Peg. Hi, Jill. Come on in. Peg, I think I've got it. Got what? An idea how you can get rid of Charlie. Really? What is it, Jill? Well, when you told me what a practical joker this Charlie trip is, I got to thinking. About what? Well, something I read somewhere about how practical jokers can dish it out, but they can't take it. Well, don't you see, Peg? Maybe if we made Charlie's life miserable by playing practical jokes on him like he plays on everybody else, he wouldn't be so happy in your house. Maybe he'd leave. Gosh, Jill, maybe you've got something there. Oh, the only trouble is I don't know any practical jokes. Oh, don't worry about that. I've done some research in a book called 1001 Ways to Make Your Friends Hate You. And I came all prepared. We can start right away. Where is Charlie? He's taking a nap on the living room couch. Come on. But don't wake him up until I tell you to. Okay. What are you doing, Jill? Tying his shoelaces together. Okay. Wake him up. Charlie! Oh, Charlie, wake up!
Huh? Oh, hello, baby.
Charlie, I want you to meet a friend of mine, Jill Donovan. Hello, Charlie. Shake hands. Oh, modern Charlie. I come as a big shock to a man, huh?
Look, kid, I don't think that's funny.
Oh, I'm sorry, Charlie. I wouldn't want you to dislike me. Peg has told me so much about you, haven't you, Peg? Oh, yes. Oh, she certainly has. Oh, Charlie, what's that in your sweater?
Huh? Where?
Right there. Oh, Charlie, I didn't think you'd fall for that one.
Now, look, you stop that or I'll...
Oh, you what, Charlie?
Wait till I get my hands on you and I'll show you. Hey, my foot!
Charlie fell against the table. Gosh. Oh, you shouldn't have tied his shoestrings together. He may have hurt himself. No, he didn't. He'll be all right. Then why doesn't he move? Charlie, you suppose he knocked himself out? Charlie, speak to me. Say something. Charlie. Oh, Charlie may have hurt himself badly. You think so? Oh, I don't know, but we better not take any chances. Go to the telephone and call the doctor. Okay, Peg. Gosh, when that guy falls for a practical joke, he really falls, doesn't he?
Oh, I got home as quickly as I could, Peggy. How is Charlie?
Oh, gee, Daddy, I don't know. Dr. Schneiderman is still with him.
Oh, my goodness, Charlie must be very badly hurt. A skull fracture or something.
Oh, I hope not, Daddy.
How will I ever explain this to Charlie's father? What will he say when I tell him that you and Jill gave his son a fractured skull just as a practical joke?
But it was an accident, Daddy.
Jill tying his shoelaces together was not an accident.
Oh, speaking of Jill, she had to go home. Will you excuse me, Daddy? I told her I'd telephone her. She's terribly worried.
Of all the people this could have happened to, why did it have to be the son of a most grand exalted beaver like Dave Tompkins? Yeah, Doctor, how is he? Is he going to live?
You are Mortimer Meek, I presume?
Yes, how is Charlie, Doctor? Tell me.
The boy is going to be all right.
Oh, really? Oh, well, that's fine. That's wonderful.
He'll receive nothing more than a little bump on the head.
Just a little bump. Oh, well, I'm glad to hear it. I was pretty worried for a moment.
If so, I see no reason why you should stop.
Well, huh? Well, what do you mean, Doctor?
You are a beaver, are you not?
Oh, yes, but how did you know?
Because I, too, am a beaver.
What?
Yeah. In the old days in Vienna, I was a member of Vienna Lodge 34 of the International Order of Beavers.
Is that so?
And I think you should know, Beaver Meek, that I am not proud to call you brother.
You're not?
No, I am not.
What?
You know the beaver's motto. Beavers are welcome wherever beavers are. Hospitality is the watchword of the beavers.
Oh, I know.
And why did you permit your daughter and that friend of hers to subject the Tompkins boy to such torture?
Torture?
I consider practical jokes the worst form of torture that can be inflicted on mankind. And when most grand exalted Beaver Tompkins arrives from Sycamore Springs to be at the bedside of his son, I shall request him to suspend you from the organization.
To suspend me?
Oh, just temporarily, of course.
Well, how temporarily, Doctor?
Just until you are expelled.
Now, Mortimer, quit worrying. No. You're just borrowing trouble.
I don't have to borrow trouble, Agatha. I have plenty already.
Oh, but I'm sure Mr. Tompkins won't suspend you from the Beavers just because his son received a bump on the head.
But did you see how he glared when he came in? And why are he and Dr. Schneiderman staying in there with Charlie so long if they aren't talking about suspending me?
The Beavers mean a great deal to you, don't they, Mortimer?
Oh, you know they do, dear. Why, my father was a beaver, my grandfather was a beaver, and his father before him was a beaver, too.
With all the beavers in your family, Mortimer, I don't understand why I've never had a fur coat.
You in here, Beaver Meek?
Oh, yes, Beaver Tompkins. Come in.
Where is Dr. Schneiderman, Mr. Tompkins?
Calling the police?
The police? Oh, now, just a minute, Mr. Tompkins. I want you to know that Jill and Peggy wouldn't have played a practical joke on Charlie if he hadn't started it.
For 3 days we've put up with him and his practical jokes.
Yes.
Well, he virtually forced his way into our home. Your son blackmailed our daughter.
My son did a thing like that?
Yes.
Oh, impossible.
You don't believe it?
All I'm saying is my son didn't do such a thing.
What makes you so sure, Mr. Tompkins?
Because the young man you're talking about isn't my son.
He isn't?
Well, then who is he?
Charlie is Babyface Burns, the notorious confidence man who's been going around the state posing as my son.
Posing as your son?
That's right. Babyface Burns has been using my name to take advantage of the famed hospitality of the Beavers and get himself free room and board.
But then Dr. Schneiderman's calling the police to come for Charlie. I mean Babyface Burns.
That's right.
Yeah, and I'm not going to be suspended from the Beavers?
Suspended? Beaver Meek, for your gallant service above and beyond the call of duty in helping capture Babyface Burns, I, in my capacity as the most grand exalted Beaver, am going to recommend you for the Order of the Ring Flat Tail.
Oh, no. The Order of the Ring Flat Tail?
Yes, sir.
Oh, Beaver Tompkins, this is overwhelming.
Nonsense. Not a bit more than you deserve. You know, from the moment Dr. Schneiderman called me and said my son had been injured in your home, I knew there must be something wrong.
You did?
Mm-hmm. Right away I said to myself, Tompkins, that can't be your son.
But how in the world could you know?
It's quite simple, Mrs. Meek. All of my children are girls.
No matter what other New Year's resolutions you make, here's one we hope you'll keep. To let all sweets' delicate, natural flavor enhance the enjoyment of all your meals. And we hope that you'll often take advantage of the fact that it's easy to color all sweets so that your fine family can enjoy their favorite margarine at its most beautiful golden best. Or, of course, if you live in one of the many states whose laws permit the sale of colored margarine, you can buy yellow all sweet in solid or quartered pounds. And no matter which all sweet you buy, it will always taste delicious because it's made only from the finest farm-fresh ingredients. So, for real, all-around quality in a table spread and cooking aid, get all sweet. The margarine with the delicate, natural flavor.
Harold.
Yeah, Peggy?
I've got a confession to make. You were right about Jimmy Jones.
You mean that he was a jerk?
No, I mean that you were right when you suspected that there really wasn't anyone named Jimmy Jones.
Is that so?
Uh-huh. He was just a figment of my imagination. I just created him to make you jealous.
Imagine that.
Well, aren't you going to laugh at me or something?
Gosh, no, Peg. Because I got a confession to make myself.
What?
You know that Francis person I went to the movies with last week?
Uh-huh.
Well, it was Francis a boy, not Francis a girl.
It was? Oh, why didn't you tell me?
Because I wanted to make you jealous. After all, Peg, you've been taking me pretty much for granted lately.
Meet the Meeks, starring Forrest Lewis and Burl Vaughn, is a Les Weinrod production written by Sherman Marks and Ken Pettis. Be sure to join us over these same stations next Saturday when All Sweet, the margarine with the delicate natural flavor, again invite you to Meet the Meeks. This is John Weigel speaking. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
Palmolive Soap, your beauty hope, and Luster Cream Shampoo for soft, glamorous dream girl hair bring you Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden. Like many of her colleagues in the teaching profession, our Miss Brooks, Madison High School's English teacher, watched the year 1948 come to an end with mixed emotions. As she puts it,
although the year didn't start off brilliantly or develop too sensationally, it certainly wound up in a blaze of nothing. Of course, I did enjoy my 2 weeks vacation. In fact, I spent most of the money I was going to borrow in the next 3 months. The afternoon of New Year's Eve, Friday, December 31st, for those that still can't remember, I was chatting with my landlady, Mrs. Davis.
Well, Connie, I guess you've got big plans for this evening.
Frankly, I haven't got any plans at all, Mrs. Davis. Of course, I do have a date with the bashful biologist.
Mr. Boynton, what are you going to do, Connie?
Probably the same thing we did last year. Pool our money and go to Hip Sings for dinner. Fine way to spend New Year's Eve. 2 Americans go to a Chinese restaurant, Dutch. What are you going to do, Mrs. Davis?
Oh, I'm going to visit my sister Angela. She's so absent-minded, poor thing. She'll probably be surprised to see me, although it was only last week that she invited me over.
What time do you think you'll be leaving, Mrs. Davis?
Leaving? For where?
For your sisters.
For my sister's what?
For your sister's house.
Oh, I'm glad you reminded me, Connie. I've been making up my New Year's resolutions, and that's the first thing on the list. I've resolved to correct Angela's absent-mindedness.
Angela's absent-mindedness. What else is on the list?
What list?
Maybe I'd better talk to Minerva the cat for a while. We were talking about New Year's resolutions, Mrs. Davis.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry I wasn't paying attention, Connie. Tell me the rest of your resolutions.
Well, first of all, I've resolved not to... What resolution? We were speaking of yours, Mrs. Davis. And before you say my what, I'd like to ask you again the question I asked when we were both younger. Namely, when are you going over to your sister's house?
Maybe you better not go out tonight, Connie. You sound very strange.
It's just the way you're listening. Or are you, Mrs. Davis?
Of course I'm Mrs. Davis. Now, you lie down and let me fix you some hot tea.
I don't want any hot tea. I just want an answer.
Meow.
Thanks, Minerva. Now, about this evening, Mrs. Davis...
Hello, Minerva. Want some milk, dear? I'll get you some in a minute. You were saying, Miss Brooks?
This evening? Your sister's house?
Yes, I'm going over there tonight.
I know, Mrs. Davis.
Right away, Minerva.
What time, Mrs. Davis?
It's, 4:45 now, but I'm always Get away from those curtains, Minerva. I'll set your saucer right away. Keep an eye on her, will you, Angela?
I'll be glad to, Connie. Come on, just hop into my lap, Mrs. Davis. Meow. There's a good dog. This is getting contagious. Oh, coming. Excuse me, Minerva. Why, it's Monsieur Monet. Come in.
Merci, mademoiselle. Thank you. It's nice you remember me.
Remember you? Why, Monsieur Monet, you're Madison High's favorite French teacher.
For that, Miss Brooks, permit me to kiss your hand.
Well, let's not give the other hand the complex.
Certainly not. I trust that I'm not arrived at, how you say, inopportunity time.
What? Oh, no, this is very opportunity time. Won't you sit down, Monsieur Monet?
Oh, thank you, Miss Brooks. But now that I'm teaching in America, I would appreciate it if you would call me in America.
All right. What's your number?
No. I mean, call me Mr. Monet instead of Monsieur.
Oh, certainly.
Here you are, Kitty. Here's a nice saucer of... Oh, I didn't know anyone had come in.
This is Mr. Monet, Mrs. Davis, our new French teacher at Madison.
Oh, how do you do, Mr. Monet?
How do you do, Mrs. Davis? I kiss your hand, madame.
I'll hold your saucer, madame.
A lovely lady with a lovely hand.
Stick out your paw, Minerva. You're next.
If Mr. Monet came over to see you, Connie, I'm sure he doesn't want to talk to Minerva. I'll just take her into the kitchen. Come along, dear. There's a good kitty. Come drink your milk out here. So nice to have met you, Mr. Monet.
Likewise, I'm sure. She's very nice, your Mrs. Davis. But why she run away so fast? In the words of some of my pupils, why she took some powder and put it on the lamb.
Took some powder? Oh, you mean she took a powder or took it on the lamb?
Mais oui. She flew out of here like a bat out of the...
Mr. Monet. You're learning faster than you're teaching. Now, Mrs. Davis was just being tactful. I guess she thought you wanted to be alone with me.
Alone with you? But why, Miss Brooks? I'm a married man.
Oh, I know, but Mrs. Davis doesn't know about your wife, Mr. Monet.
Oh, Miss Brooks, I don't know what plans you have made for New Year's Eve, but my wife, Elaine, and I would be very flattery if you would join us.
Well, thanks, Mr. Monet. I'm flattery that you should ask me. But as far as I know, Mr. Boynton is taking me out tonight.
Oh, then you both must come. You see, this is not an ordinary party, Miss Brooks. Although we're all going to wear evening clothes and try to have the best possible time. Elaine and I, we realize that among school teachers, there are very few, how do you call it, malted millionaires?
Some of us are too thick to drink with a straw. What you're trying to tell me is that the evening won't cost much money, is that right?
Oh, it will cost you no money, Miss Brooks, but there is an admission charge.
Pint of blood?
No, just some old clothes. You see, I am in charge of a committee to send clothing to the poor people in France. Any sort of clothes would do, Miss Brooks. Anything that is made of cloth.
Why, that sounds like a wonderful idea, Mr. Monet. I'll be delighted to come.
And Mr. Boynton, do you speak for him as well?
Mr. Boynton has been spoken for many times. The trouble is he doesn't answer. Oh, you mean about tonight? Yes, Mr. Monet. I feel sure I can speak for Mr. Boynton.
Oh, fine. I'll be leaving then.
I'll walk you to the door, Mr. Monet.
Oh, my address is 9066 Shoreham Drive. Try to get there before 10. And I'm sure that as my students say, we will have a ball.
I'm sure that we will.
Yes, until tonight then, Miss Brooks. Stay in the groove.
Oh, Natch, Mr. Monet, Natch. And Mr. Monet.
Yes?
Don't take any wooden francs.
Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, will return in just a moment. But first, here is Vern Smith. Ladies, regardless of age, skin type, or previous beauty care, doctors prove you, too, may win a lovelier complexion with Palmolive soap.
But to win this lovelier complexion, the kind men admire and women envy, you must stop improper cleansing. Instead, use Palmolive soap the way doctors advise.
Remember, 36 doctors, leading skin specialists, advise 1,285 women, many with complexion problems, to use Palmolive this way. Some have dry skin, some oily, some coarse-looking. Using Palmolive soap alone, 2 out of 3 won lovelier complexions. Now, here's what the doctors advised.
Wash your face with Palmolive soap. Massaging for 1 minute with Palmolive's soft lather. This cleansing massage brings your skin Palmolive's full beautifying effect. Rinse. Do this 3 times a day for 14 days.
It's that simple. But doctors have proved this way, using nothing but Palmolive, really works. So forget other beauty care. Use Palmolive soap alone for a lovelier complexion.
For loveliness all over, use big, thrifty bath-size Palmolive in your tub or shower.
After Mr. Monet left, I tried to get Mr. Boynton on the phone to tell him about the invitation. But ours is a party line, a 4-party line to be exact, and every time I picked up the receiver, it was in use. Always careful not to lose my temper, I sat by the phone and drummed lightly on the top of the table until my 5 fingernails were impaled in the mahogany. Then I tried it once more.
As sure as my name is Lucy Schofield, that's the only way to treat man, Emma. Believe me, if I had to do it all over again, Emma, excuse me a minute, dear. I think I smell my roast burning in the kitchen.
Now, that's a coincidence, Lucy. I smell my grapes burning in the living room. Hang up now. I'll call you back. So much for Emma and Lucy. I'll try it again. Oh, it worked. At least I can dial now. I hope Lucy doesn't think Emma was kidding her.
Happy New Year, Daisy. Is Fred there?
This isn't Daisy, and Fred isn't here. Will you please get off the line?
What do you mean get off the line?
Just what I said. Get off this line.
Oh, Mrs. Telephone Company, huh?
Look, this happens to be a party line, and I happen to be the party using it at the moment.
Oh, well, that's different. If you want me to come to a party, I'll be glad to talk to you. My name is Frank Pollock. What's yours?
It doesn't matter. I only... Say, Frank. Frank, are you still there?
Sure, I'm still there. That was mighty nice of you to call me, Daisy. What I think of the way I treated you. This shameful, horrible way I treated you.
Don't cry, Frank. I had it coming.
No.
Now, will you please hang up? Your bottle is falling out of the chandelier.
Well, thanks, Daisy. You're a great girl. And tell Fred to give me a buzz when he gets in. Bye now.
He's getting an early start. When a body meets a body, he's had too much rye.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Boynton. This is Miss Brooks. I assume we still have a date for tonight.
Tonight? Oh, this is Friday, isn't it?
Yes, December 31st.
31st, eh?
Yes, you know, the day we celebrate the appearance of the first enchilada north of Laredo, Texas.
I know it's New Year's Eve, Miss Brooks. What are we going to do to kill a few hours together?
We'll think of something, you mad, impetuous boy. As a matter of fact, that's why I called. Mr. Monet and his wife are having a little impromptu party at their house, and they've invited us.
What kind of party?
Well, you have to have some old clothes, and then you should...
Hello? Is that you, Emma? I didn't quite understand you before.
No, this is not Emma. This is your friendly, cooperative party line neighbor.
Oh, the magpie.
Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to Nonstop Nellie, the human dial tone. Now, will you please stop this filibuster and get off the line?
Well, the phone company will hear about this.
Are you there, Miss Brooks?
Yes, Mr. Boynton. As I started to tell you, although it's a formal party, we're supposed to have some piece of apparel that we can...
Happy New Year.
Oh, yes.
Who's that? Well, it's about time you got home, Fred.
That is not Fred.
Oh, it isn't, huh?
No, it isn't.
As Fred's oldest and closest friend, I demand to know who it is. Now, see here, old man. I'm not your old man. I don't even know where your old man is. I don't even know where my old man is. New Year's Eve, and I don't even know where my old man is.
We'd better hang up now.
You can't, Daisy. You can't hang up. Not without you telling me where my old man is. Daisy.
Listen, Mr.
Nobody
Boynton.
wants to tell me where
All
my
you
old
have to
man
do is bring some old clothes with you.
What's that? I don't hardly hear you.
Bring some old clothes and pick me up in a couple of hours.
I gave you a pretty hot deal. This friend's come along and straighten you out. I'll see you later. Who introduced you to Fred? Tell me that. Who introduced you to Fred?
You did, Frank, and I love you for it. If you don't get off this phone, I'll have you thrown out of the bar you're calling from.
Bar? Oh, is that where I'm calling from? Bless you, Daisy. You helped me find my old man. Sure, he's sitting on the stool next to me.
I better hang up now. Fred hates it when I talk to strangers. Oh, Mrs. Davis.
Yes, Connie?
I wonder if you'd give me a hand. I've been invited to a formal party tonight, and I just don't know what to wear.
Well, what have you got, Connie?
Oh, nothing. That is nothing but an old evening gown I've had for 5 years.
Well, come on into your room, Connie, and we'll look it over.
Here we are. It won't take long to find in my closet. Well, let's see. Here's a skirt and blouse. The suit I got 2 years ago. Here's one of the dresses I wear to school. Here's the other one. Oh, there we are. My pride and joy.
Why, that's real pretty, Connie. And look at the fringe.
Silly moths, they left the best part. While I'm in here, I'd better find something to donate as well.
Donate?
Yes, the price of admission to the party is some old clothing. I know I've got some because I've been wearing it.
Oh, dear, I forgot to tell you, Connie, but just last week when the Goodwill truck came around, they pick up old clothes, too, you know. I gave away everything of mine I could possibly spare.
Well, that's all right, Mrs. Davis. You're not going to the party.
I know, but I also gave away a big bundle of your stuff. You had it lying in the closet, and
Mrs. Davis, that was for the cleaners. I had some of my newest clothes in that bundle. 1945 stuff.
I'm sorry, dear. Maybe you can borrow some old clothes to give.
Well, I guess I'll have to. I know. I'll go over to the Conklin's. He's got one suit I know could use an ocean voyage. folks at home?
Mother's out shopping, but Daddy's upstairs taking a nap. Come on into the living room, won't you? Walter Denton and I were just playing Pass It. Look who's here, Walter.
Well, if it isn't my favorite English teacher. Sit down, Miss Brooks. Harriet and I were just playing Pass It.
So she told me. What's Pass It?
Well, it's a game we read about. Lots of high school kids play it. All you do is take a piece of Kleenex and hold it to your nose by sniffing. And then with both hands behind your back, you pass it down a long line of kids by sniffing it away from your neighbor.
Oh. Sounds fascinating. But where's the long line of kids?
Oh, it's just as much fun with the two of us.
More.
Yeah, saves wear and tear on the Kleenex, too.
Harriet and I go steady. That's why I'm here. But what brings you to the dread sanctum sanctorum of your school principal during a holiday?
Please, Walter. You make Daddy sound like an ogre.
Yes, Walter. Just because Mr. Conklin is my superior at school is no reason for me to live in dread of him.
Harriet!
What is it, Daddy?
Try to be a little more quiet, can't you? I've got to get some sleep.
Sorry, Daddy. We'll be more careful. I don't think now is a good time to tell him you're here, Miss Brooks. You see, he's going to a big party tonight and wants to get some rest.
Well, then maybe you kids can help me out. I've just got to get some old clothes somewhere right away.
Why, Miss Brooks? The ones you've got on look fine.
Thanks, Walter, I think. But I'm talking about clothes I can donate.
Golly, Miss Brooks, Mother just gave away every stitch we could possibly spare to the Salvation Army. Wait a minute. Daddy's new tuxedo is being delivered today. And he's got an old suit of evening clothes that I'm sure Mother would love to see given away.
Say no more, Harriet. Do you think you can get it without waking your father?
Oh, sure. It's right here in the hall closet. Here it is, Miss Brooks. This is the suit Daddy wore when he first became a principal.
Let me look at that. I'll bet he was a sensation in these tales.
Why?
There are 3 of them.
Let's see. Oh, that's just where one of them is torn. You could patch that up in a jiffy.
Thanks very much, Harriet. It's cloth anyway. Well, I'll be getting along home now. Mr. Boynton's picking me up soon, and I've got to see if my evening gown still fits me. I've had it for over 5 years.
Oh, I think that's nice, Miss Brooks.
What's nice, Walter?
How you and your evening gown have grown old together. Oh, not that you're falling apart at the seams or anything. I mean, well, to me, you're still all wool and a yard wide.
You have just failed in English for 1949. Would you care to try for 50?
Hello. Hello, Mr. Conklin?
Yes, who's this?
This is Kane from Kane's Classy Cut Clothes with 4 Ks.
Oh, yes. Where's my tuxedo, Kane? You promised it to me by 5 o'clock, and it's 10 of now.
Oh, that's what I'm calling about, Mr. Conklin. I can't get the suit to you by 5 o'clock.
You can't? Well, then when will it get here?
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday? But I've got a very important party to attend tonight.
Now, please, Mr. Conklin, don't yell at me. Yell at the Hotel Makers Union. They went out on strike yesterday.
But isn't there something you can do? Somebody who can fix this?
Calm yourself, Mr. Conklin. Even if I gave the suit to another shop to be finished, it wouldn't do any good. The buttonhole boys went out in sympathy.
But how could you... Well, why do you... When did this...
No,
how were you
easy,
able...
Mr. Conklin.
When
Take it easy. My blood pressure is just as high as yours. So let's be good to ourselves and exercise some control.
Control? But how can I... What will I... Even if I have...
Now, there's no use for both of us aggravating. Goodbye, Mr. Conklin. Happy New Year.
Harriet!
Yes, Daddy, we're here in the living room.
Harriet, I've had a great disappointment. My tuxedo... Oh, hello, Denton.
Hi, Mr. Conklin. We're playing Pass It. Want to sniff this Kleenex off my nose onto your nose?
I can think of nothing more loathsome to do. Harriet, do you know where your mother put my old suit of evening clothes?
Your old suit, Daddy?
Yes. I've got to wear it tonight.
Oh, but that old evening suit isn't any good, Mr. Conklin. It would make you look like a head waiter in a cabaret.
A head waiter in a... That happens to be one of the finest dress
Please,
suits.
Daddy. I gave it to Miss Brooks just a little while ago. She and Mr. Boynton are going to a party where you have to bring some old clothes to get in.
What? That does it! Not only do my teachers openly flaunt my wishes about fraternizing, but they take my evening clothes along with them. Children, do you know what I'm going to do?
No, we don't. But I know one thing. If I was Miss Brooks, I'd hop in bed and pull the covers up over my head.
There, how does Old Faithful look on me, Mrs. Davis?
Lovely, Connie. And fringe is more popular than ever. It's amazing what a tuck here and a stitch there will do. About what time did Mr. Boynton say he'd be over?
About this time, Mrs. Davis. I'll get it. Good evening, Mr. Boynton. Won't you come in?
Oh, thanks, Miss Brooks.
Say, that's an interesting overcoat you have on. Raccoon, isn't it?
Yes. It's a relic of my college days. Do you mind if I hang it up here? It's pretty warm.
Go right ahead, Mr. Boynton. Then come on into the living room.
All right. Oh, there. That's better. Well, Miss Brooks, you certainly look lovely tonight.
Thanks, Mr. Boynton. You look... Mr. Boynton, I told you we were invited to a New Year's Eve party, didn't I?
Well, yes, you did.
Do you always go to a formal party in white flannels with a blazer and a beanie?
Formal, but you said you had to have some old clothes to get in. Some odd piece of wearing apparel is what you told me.
Oh, great. I hope your sneakers are vulcanized.
I don't understand, Miss Brooks. Just what kind of a party is this?
It's a formal party, Mr. Boynton, but the price of admission is some old clothes to be shipped abroad.
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't usually go to parties on New Year's Eve.
You don't? Well, how do you like to spend the evening, Mr. Boynton?
Well, I usually have an early dinner, then catch the first show at the movies and hit the sack about 10:30.
What does your doctor say about such carrying on? Look, Mr. Boynton, I've already accepted for both of us, and... Wait a minute. I've got a dress suit that might fit you. Then we can bring the stuff you've got on as our admission. Just go into my room, Mr. Boynton, and take off those clothes.
Oh, Miss Brooks, what in the
You'll
world...
find a suit of evening clothes right on the bed. Please slip them on. Mrs. Davis?
Yes, Connie?
Have you finished sewing Mr. Conklin's tail together?
Just finishing now, Connie. Here it is, as good as new. It would make any head waiter proud. Oh, hello, Mr. Boynton. My, what a nice beanie. 3 propellers.
I wish you'd tell me what this is all about, Mrs. Davis.
Well, you're going to an ideal source for information. Just take this suit and put it on, Mr. Boynton, please.
Well, all right, Miss Brooks, but this is all highly irregular.
Now, Mrs. Davis, let's go into your room. I want you to fix my hair in the back. I'm wearing it up, you know, and it's not quite high enough.
My goodness, Connie, how high do you want it?
High enough so that I'll have to stand on a chair to pull it down.
Well, it doesn't fit too badly, I guess. Miss Brooks, I've got the suit on.
That's fine. I'll just be a few minutes. Oh, would you answer that, please, Mr. Boynton? Mrs. Davis is still rummaging in my scalp.
All right. Oh, well, it's Mr. Conklin. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I'd like a table down front, but not too near the drum.
Oh, it's you, Boynton. Yes, sir. Won't you come in?
No, I won't come in. Boynton, how did you... When did... Who gave you...
What are you doing? New Year's Eve, I'd swear that Mr. Conklin has come by. Oh, it is you, Mr. Conklin.
Miss Brooks, I demand the return of my evening clothes at once.
Your evening clothes?
I cannot tell a lie, Mr. Boynton. Take it off.
Take it off?
Take it off!
Well, don't just stand there, Mr. Conklin. Applaud a little.
Get ready, everyone. It's 12 o'clock. Turn up the radio. Well, Miss Brooks, nice party, no?
Oh, very nice, Mr. Monet.
Ah, but it's midnight now. The band is playing Auld Lang Syne, and everyone should be kissing someone. Where's your Mr. Boynton?
Oh, haven't you heard, Mr. Monet? He hit the sack at 10:30.
As our Miss Brooks returns in just a moment. But first... Dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl. Tonight, show him how much lovelier your hair can look after a luster cream shampoo. Only Luster Cream brings you K. Dumit's magic formula blend of secret ingredients plus gentle lanolin. gives loveliness lather even in hardest water, glamorizes your hair as you wash it. Luster Cream, not a soap, not a liquid, but a dainty cream shampoo. Leaves hair fragrantly clean, free of loose dandruff, glistening with sheen, soft, manageable. Gives new beauty to all hairdos or permanents. 4-ounce jar, $1. Smaller sizes, either tubes or jars. Tonight, try Luster Cream Shampoo and be a dream girl, beautiful Luster Cream girl. You owe your crowning glory to a Luster Cream Shampoo. And now, once again, here is our Miss Brooks.
Well, Mr. Boynton didn't show me such an exciting New Year's Eve, but we had another date the next day, today. After spending the afternoon at the zoo, we came back to my house. Do you mind if I turn on the radio, Mr. Boynton?
Oh, not at all, Miss Brooks, but I'm afraid I can't stay to listen to it.
Why not?
Well, actually, I didn't get into bed on New Year's Eve until 10 minutes of 11. I've got to catch up on my sleep.
And so, as Philip Boynton faded slowly into the west, I bade him farewell in true Zulu fashion by saying Tunga Lunga Bimba Lakta, which means, how can you leave now? Jack Benny has switched over to CBS.
Next week, tune in to another Our Miss Brooks show, brought to you by Palmolive Soap, your beauty hope, and Luster Cream Shampoo for soft, glamorous dream girl hair. Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, is produced by Larry Burns, written and directed by Al Lewis, with music by Wilbur Hatch.
Men, do you shave with a lather or brushless shave cream? Palmolive shaving cream comes both ways, and whichever way you prefer to shave, you'll find that using either Palmolive brushless or Palmolive lather shaving cream can bring you more comfortable, actually smoother shaves. Here's the proof. 2,548 men tried the new Palmolive way to shave described on the tube. And no matter how they had shaved before, 3 out of every 4 got more comfortable, actually smoother shaves. Get Palmolive brushless or Palmolive lather shaving cream today.
For mystery liberally sprinkled with laughs, listen to Mr. and Mrs. North, the exciting, fun-packed adventures of an amateur detective and his beautiful wife. Tune in Tuesday evenings over most of these same stations. And be with us again next week at this same time for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks. Stay tuned now for Lum and Abner. Bob Lamont speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
It's time for My Favorite Husband, starring Lucille Ball.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, it's the Gay Family series starring Lucille Ball with Richard Denning. Brought to you by the Jell-O family of desserts.
J-E-L-L. Oh, the big red letters stand for the Jell-O family. Oh, the big red letters stand for the Jell-O family. That's Jell-O.
Yum, yum, yum.
Jell-O puddings.
Yum, yum, yum.
Jell-O tapioca puddings. Yes, sirree.
And now Lucille Ball with Richard Denning as Liz and Cooper. Two people who live together and like it. As we look in on the Coopers tonight, we find them settled down for a quiet evening in the living room. George is at the desk working on some bank papers, and Liz is busily scribbling in a notebook.
Well, if I do say so myself, this is going to be a pretty good corporation setup for Curtis Plastics.
Uh-huh.
If Mr. Atterbury can snag this plastic account, we'll catch all the other banks in town unaware.
Uh-huh.
Well, listen to me, Liz. You didn't hear a word I said.
Did too.
Well, what did I say?
Mr. Atterbury snagged the elastic in his underwear.
No.
He snagged it on Mr. Curtis's corporation.
No. If I do a good job on this corporation setup, Mr. Atterbury can get Mr. Curtis to switch his plastic account to our bank.
Ooh.
Now do you understand?
Yes. But what were they doing in their underwear?
I will take the trouble of explaining once more, Liz.
Don't enunciate at me, George Cooper.
Well, it's too bad you can't listen when I'm telling you something that might affect your whole future.
Well, I'm writing something that might affect my whole future.
What?
New Year's resolution.
Oh, by gosh, it is?
Yes.
Let's hear it.
All right. Number 1, I promise to stop smoking cigars.
Since when have you smoked cigars?
Oh, these aren't my resolutions. They're yours.
This should be interesting. Go ahead.
Number 1, I promise to stop smoking cigars. Number 2, after I break number 1, I will not drop ashes on the living room floor.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Number 3, after I break number 2, I will clean the ashes up myself.
All right.
Number 4, I will not read the morning paper at the breakfast table.
Well.
Number 5, I will let Liz open charge accounts at every store in town. Sign here, George.
Not so fast. You can just scratch out one of those resolutions.
I knew I couldn't get away with it. Okay, George, you can read the paper at the breakfast table. Sign here.
Just a minute. Let's hear the resolutions that you're making.
Well, you know, it's a funny thing, George.
What is it?
I couldn't think of a single thing for me.
Amazing. How about I, Liz Cooper, will keep within my budget this year?
Oh, that's stale resolution.
And how about I, Liz Cooper, will not hang my stockings in the bathroom this year?
Oh, they're not in your way.
Not much. Every time I go into the bathroom, I feel like I'm being attacked by a nylon octopus.
Well, I have a resolution that'll solve that problem.
What?
I, George Cooper, will not go into the bathroom this year.
Great. I wonder if they let me keep my toothbrush down at the gas station.
I'll get it. Hello? Oh, yeah? Well, you have to come and get me, you dirty rat. I'll never give you the jewels. Oh, yeah, you wouldn't dare. You wouldn't dare. You're afraid to pull that trigger. You're yellow. Oh, you got me. Now, what were you saying, George?
Liz, have you lost your mind? Who was that?
Dick Tracy.
What?
Oh, well, you know him as little Tommy Wood from next door. He got a Dick Tracy outfit for Christmas, and we've been playing cops and robbers ever since.
Isn't that game a little advanced for you?
Now, George, Tommy's lonesome. He doesn't have anybody to play with.
Nobody to play with.
No.
He's got 5 brothers and 5 sisters.
Well, that's just it. See, he's the smallest boy. He doesn't fit in the group. His sisters won't play Dick Tracy, and his brother always make him be Tess Trueheart.
You mean Tess Tracy? He got married.
My goodness. You mean I've been playing around with a married man?
Well, look, if he calls again, die a little more quietly, will you? I have work to do.
Oh, don't worry. He won't call anymore.
Good.
He's coming over.
Oh, no.
Well, he just wants to show me something.
Oh, but, Liz, I have work to do.
Well, go ahead. We won't bother you. There's Tracy now.
Well, I'll take my work into the den. And if you're real quiet, I'll buy you a cat pistol all your own.
Oh, Ginger Peachy. Hello, Dick Tracy.
I got you covered, coonface.
You missed me. Come on in.
Hey, look what I got. A fingerprint outfit, a badge, a gap, and some bracelets.
Hey, now, they look like real handcuffs.
They are. And it's a real fingerprint outfit, too. I've taken a lot of prints with it.
Tommy, is it true that no 2 people in the whole world have the same fingerprint?
Nah, that's a lot of bunk. I already found 3 people who have exactly the same fingerprints.
Who?
My daddy, Santa Claus, and the crook who broke open my piggy bank.
Well, you certainly exploded that theory, Tommy.
I'm Dick Tracy again. Bang, bang!
Now, wait a minute. Give me a chance to hide.
Okay, I'll give you 10. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 10. Here I come, ready or not. I see you, face. Come on with your hands up.
You'll never get me, Dick Tracy.
Liz. This fountain pen is empty.
Stop that rod!
Huh?
Bang, bang, I got you, mister.
Liz, what are you doing on the floor?
I'm dead. I got you that time, mister.
Oh, quiet. Liz, will you answer me?
Hold down, George. You're dead, too. No, he's not. I just winged him.
Oh.
Now I'm taking you both prisoners. Hold out your right hand, you.
Quiet. Liz, where is that ink?
Come on, let me put the bracelets on you. I'm dizzy. It's past my bedtime.
Go ahead, George. It'll only be a minute. He has to go right home.
No, Liz.
There. And now your left hand, prune face.
Okay, here.
There. That washes up this case. Well, I have to go home now. Good night.
Good night, Dick. Oh, honey, wait a minute. You forgot the handcuffs.
Oh, yeah, the bracelet.
Yes, get out your key and unlock it.
Well, what are you waiting for, Tommy?
I don't have a key.
What do you mean you don't have a key? Liz, I told you some crazy fool thing like that.
Calm, George. Tommy, didn't a key come with a set?
Yeah?
Well, where is it?
It's right here in the box.
Now, see, George, you just have to be calm.
But those aren't the handcuffs that came with the set.
What?
Well, they're ones that Daddy had in the attic.
Well, goodbye, George. Oh, I almost pulled my arm out of the socket.
Yes, we're handcuffed. Remember?
Boy, did her head snap.
You little monster. Why didn't you tell us there wasn't any key to these handcuffs?
You didn't ask me.
Why, you little...
Now, wait a minute. I'll just phone Mr. Wood and have him bring the key over.
Well, what are you waiting for?
Will you join me at the phone? I can't seem to make a move without you.
Oh, no, come on.
Now, you hold and I'll dial.
Well, hurry up.
Now, just relax. We'll be out of these before... Hello, Mr. Wood. This is Mrs. Cooper. You know those handcuffs you gave Tommy? Well, we were playing, and he put them on George and me. And, could you bring the key over and unlock them?
Well?
George, at our wedding, when the preacher said, "Till death do us part," he wasn't kidding.
Well, you might say that Liz and George have become quite attached to each other. Wonder how they'll manage when it's time to eat. I wouldn't want either one of them to miss out on Jell-O, especially if Katie serves this harlequin compote for dessert. It's swell, made with sunshiny, fruit-rich lemon Jell-O. Just dissolve lemon Jell-O in 2 cups of hot water and fruit juices. When slightly thickened, fold in 1½ cups of diced canned fruits and 1/4 cup of chopped maraschino cherries. Turn into a loaf pan and sprinkle with shredded coconut. It's a perfect holiday treat. Sparkling lemon Jell-O, gay with colorful fruits. All 6 delicious Jell-O flavors are rich with wonderful locked-in goodness. Strawberry, raspberry, cherry, orange, lemon, and lime. So look for those big red letters on the box. They spell Jell-O, a registered trademark of General Foods Corporation. J-E-L-L-O. And now back to Lucille Ball in My Favorite Husband. Well, Liz and George have been real buddy-buddies since little Tommy Woods inadvertently handcuffed them together several hours ago. Right now, we find them frantically trying to get the darn things off.
Ouch!
Oh, sorry, the file slipped. Am I getting any place, Liz?
Well, you're not doing much to the handcuffs, but you've got one of my fingers filed almost through.
Oh, great. Are you sure you called every locksmith in the book?
Yes, and not one of them was in his office. I don't understand. It's only midnight.
Oh, handcuffed. Oh, Liz, how do you get me mixed up in ridiculous scrapes like this?
It isn't easy. Oh, now there must be some way out of this. I know. We can call the police. Come on, back to the phone.
Oh, no, we can't do that. Not the police.
Why not? They can... George, is there something about your past you haven't told me?
Oh, now, Liz.
Have you been up the river?
Now, cut it out.
Tell me all, George. I won't squeal to the bulls.
Look, if we call the police, our pictures will be in all the papers. Oh, I can see the headline now. Dick Tracy captures Mr. and Mrs. George Pruneface.
Well, what's the difference?
Oh, nothing. Just my job, that's all. This fellow Curtis is the most conservative businessman in town. One line of bad publicity, and we won't see a penny of his money.
Well, then, let's face it, George. We can't get a locksmith until tomorrow morning, so we might just as well take off our clothes and go to bed.
Yeah, and how are we going to get our clothes off?
Huh?
Well, we'll just have to stay dressed all night.
Why, that's ridiculous. Here, I'll show you. Take your coat off left arm.
Okay.
There now. See? You put it down your right arm, and then up my left arm, and...
Well?
I guess there's no way for me to crawl through the sleeve, is there?
No.
Well, we'll have to undress with the scissors.
Oh, now, don't be silly. We'll just sleep with our clothes on.
Oh, well, don't be so grumpy. It could be worse.
How?
Well, suppose we weren't married. We'd have to sleep in separate rooms and slide our arms under the door. That would be worse.
No, it wouldn't. After the locksmith cut us loose, I'd be a bachelor.
Well.
Well, come on. We can at least try to get some sleep.
George, can I ask you a little favor?
What?
Don't turn over quick during the night. You're liable to flip me right out the window. Oh, is it 8:30?
8:30? I'll be late to meet Atterbury.
Why have you got all your clothes on?
No.
Oh, don't jump out of bed, George. We're still...
Oh, sorry, honey. I forgot we were handcuffed. Are you hurt?
No, my elbow always bends back like this.
But this is no time for jokes.
There's the phone, George. I'll get it if you'll step this way. Hello?
Hello, Liz. This is Mr. Atterbury.
Oh, Mr. Atterbury. Oh, you'll never believe what happened
No, don't tell him, Liz. Are you crazy?
Hello? Let me speak to George boy, Liz girl.
Oh, George? Oh, he's around here someplace. I'll call him. George!
What did you do that for, Liz?
You said you didn't want him to know we were locked together.
No, it's a good idea. Be right there, Liz! Hello?
Where are you, George boy? I'm waiting. Mr. Curtis will be here any minute. I want to look over those figures.
Oh, well, is it all right if I'm a little late?
Late? This is the most important deal of the year.
Tell him you're sick.
Yeah, well, I know, sir, but
Tell him you're sick, honey.
What's the matter with you, George?
Well, I'm sick, honey.
What?
Oh, I'm really sick. I've got to have a little wart removed.
Now, just a minute. Give me that phone. He's too sick to talk, Mr. Atterbury. He'll be down there as soon as we get a locksmith.
Locksmith?
I mean the doctor. He's got lockjaw.
You get him down here by 10 o'clock, locked or unlocked, or he's fired. Goodbye.
Oh, don't worry, George. We'll get you there. I'll call the locksmith. You go and shave. No, wait a minute. We'll phone first, and then we'll shave.
Oh, darn it, Liz. What do you suppose is keeping that locksmith?
I don't know, George. He said he was leaving right away. I wish he'd hurry. I've got an appointment at the beauty parlor in 20 minutes.
Beauty parlor? I'm liable to lose my job, and you're worried about a shampoo.
I'm not going for a shampoo. It's much more important than that.
Well, forget it. Let's get out of these handcuffs. You can stem the black tide later.
Please. You don't have to put it so crudely. I prefer to think of it as bringing out the natural auburn highlights.
Well, let's just call it Operation Henna.
Oh, that must be Mr. Hussey, the locksmith.
Finally.
You're the folks who's called for a locksmith?
Yes. Yes, where have you been?
Well, I got here as fast as I could. Had a little trouble. I locked my keys in my car. Always meant to make an extra set, but never got round to it.
Yeah, well, will you get these things off?
No, don't rush me, lady. Let me look at them first. Just as I thought.
What?
They're locked, all right.
No.
Say, these are real old handcuffs.
We've got our order in for the new model. Now, will you please get these off?
Well, not so fast, sister. I'm supposed to start on a weekend hunting trip, and I put it off so I can help you folks. So don't get sassy.
She didn't mean anything, Mr. Hussey. Will you take them off, please?
Well, now let me see. You know, I remember a pair almost identical to these. A couple of fellas come in with them on. They was wearing suits with black and white stripes.
Well, I know, Mr. Hussey,
Well, that looked kind of suspicious to me. Till they explained they'd been to a Halloween party.
that was a good one. Now, if you'll just...
Of course, that was kind of odd, too, considering it was the middle of February. But they looked like honest fellas. Besides, I had a gun in my face.
Look, how about these handcuffs? We're in a hurry.
I told you the story as fast as I could. Well, let me see. Oh, sure. Yeah, I can open these. Here, I got the key back to the shop that'll unlock them. Yeah.
Back to the shop?
Yeah, no, don't you worry. I'll be back here in 45 minutes.
Oh, no.
Wait a minute. Could you come back to the duty shop here?
Are you out of your mind?
Don't you see, George? You can't go to the bank with these on. We have to wait for Mr. Hussey anyway, so we might as well wait there.
I'm not going to any beauty parlor with you.
Oh, please, George. If you won't do it for me, do it for my roots.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes!
Mrs. Cooper, you're late. I thought you'd never get here.
Hello, Sally. Sally, this is my husband, George.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Mrs. Atterbury's been looking for you, Mrs. Cooper.
Oh, Iris, where is she?
In the party room.
Oh, I'll go in and say hello.
Liz.
Oh, I forgot. I'll see her on the way out.
Yeah. Well, step in this booth, honey.
Okay.
Mr. Cooper, would you mind waiting outside?
Well,
he likes to stay close to me, Sally. We're inseparable.
Isn't that sweet?
Yes.
All right, you can stay.
Sit down on that little stool, George. Read some of the movie magazines.
Okay.
Try to get one of the new ones. Sally, I just want to touch up a wave and a manicure. Read the magazine to me, George.
Okay. Flash. Biograph Studios announces a new young starring team, Theta Berra and Rudolph Valentino.
Oh, you did get one of the new ones.
Get the phone, will you, Mr. Cooper? It's right by your side.
Okay. Hello?
Hello, Sally's Beauty Parlor. I'd like to... Is that you, George?
No, this is Sally.
What are you doing, George?
It's Mr. Atterbury.
It sounds like you, George.
No, this is Sally.
Well, look, Sally, why aren't you down here at the bank? I called your home and they said you were at the beauty parlor.
Well...
I'm disappointed, boy. I always thought that wave was natural. I suppose you're really a brunette, too.
Well, look, Mr. Atterbury.
George, you get down here right away.
Oh, let's go, Liz. Mr. Atterbury is furious.
What about the locksmith?
Go the heck with him.
What about my hair?
I'll have to wash the dye out.
Well, now, we don't have time. Now, come on.
Oh, good heavens, what'll happen to my head, Sally?
Well, it depends on how soon you get back. It'll either be orange, red, cerise, or bald.
Oh, come on. We'll go in the side door. Oh, I hope we're not too late.
George, there you are, you idiot. Where have you been?
Oh, it's my fault, Mr. Atterbury.
What are you doing here, Liz?
You might not believe this, but look.
Handcuffed.
No, well, I'll explain later, Mr. Atterbury. Can't we tell Mr. Curtis Liz is my secretary?
No, this is highly confidential. He wouldn't stand for having anyone else around. We'll have to hide, Liz.
Yeah, but how?
Well...
You could put a shade on my head and pretend I'm a floor lamp.
Oh.
I could stretch out and open my mouth like a bearskin rug.
That'll do, Liz.
I know. Come into your office. Now then, Liz, get behind the sofa.
Now, wait a minute.
Hurry. George, you sit there with your arm draped nonchalantly over the back.
Okay.
Curtis won't be able to see Liz or the handcuffs.
But it's all dusty back here.
Well, you duck down and keep quiet.
I'll go get Mr. Curtis.
I'm going to sneeze.
Well, sneeze and get it over with before they get here.
I can't.
Now, here they come.
Stop holding my nose.
Right in here, Miss Curtis. This is Mr. Cooper.
Howdy, Mr. Cooper. Pardon my left hand.
Certainly. He's left-handed. Well, let's all sit here on the sofa, and George can go over the figures for us.
All right. Well, Mr. Curtis, this is the way I figure.
Hush!
Gesundheit.
Gesundheit. Gesundheit.
Who seized? I did.
I did. Both of you? There we go again.
Hey, speaking of sneezing, have you ever heard the story about the fan dancer with a cold?
Well, now,
it's a little spicy. But since we're all men here, I guess I can tell it.
Well, just a minute.
Seems there was this fan dancer, and one night, right in the middle of her dance, she sneezed.
Wait, Mr. Curtis, don't tell us.
But it's a Derby do.
You see, I've heard it.
Yeah, so have I.
I haven't.
Who said that?
Come on out, Liz.
Whoa.
Young lady, what's going on here?
Oh, there you are. I've been looking all over town for you two. Yeah, I got the key. Now, let me see them handcuffs.
Handcuffs?
Well, there you are. Free again.
Oh, that feels better.
Yeah, well, I got to rush now. I'm off on my hunting trip at last. See you when I get back. Bye.
Give me my hat, Atterbury.
Now, Mr. Curtis, we can explain this whole thing.
There's no explaining necessary. Hiding women behind sofas. Vice President handcuffed. Some bank.
Well, you might at least give us a chance to explain.
What's there to explain? Two grown people who get themselves handcuffed together must be a couple of morons.
But that's just it, Mr. Curtis. It wasn't our fault. It was the little boy who did it. It could happen to you, too.
Never.
Well, don't be so sure. Suppose you were George and little Tommy Wood put one handcuff on your wrist like this, and the other one on mine like this. And it wasn't until then that you discovered there wasn't any key.
Oh, what have you done?
She's handcuffed herself to Mr. Curtis. That's what she's done.
Well, at least I'll find out what happened to that fan dancer.
Yes, Lucille, what gives tonight?
Bob, it's almost New Year's Eve. So you'll be old man time, and I'll be little baby 1950. A little baby music, Wilbur.
I'm old Father Time getting ready to push 1949 into the past. Oh, here comes the little New Year now.
Jello, everybody. Jello, 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 Jello.
Here, why are you saying Jello?
What?
Why are you saying Jello?
Can't sell anything, saying Gru.
True. Say, 1950.
Oh, you wait till I look at my price tag. Yeah, I'm 1950, and I'm worried, Pop.
Why, child?
I just got my first look at this world I'm coming into. Ay.
Well, child, there may be some things wrong, but they're working them out.
Ah.
They have wonderful new inventions.
Ah.
And they have Jello.
Ah. Ooh. Oh, what am I saying? Oh, Jello is wonderful.
Yes, Jello comes in 6 delicious flavors. Comes in strawberry, raspberry, cherry, orange, lemon, and lime.
And cherry.
I said that.
I know, but I left it out last week.
And that That flavor makes you think of the real ripe fruit itself. It's locked in until your first delectable spoonful. So look for the big red letters on the box.
Oh, I will. You know I will.
And, child, you know what they spell, don't you?
Uh-huh. They spell,
You know they spell Jell-O, don't you?
Uh-huh.
And Jell-O spells a treat.
Uh-huh. And Bob, get out of my way. I'm in. Happy New Year, everybody!
You have been listening to My Favorite Husband, starring Lucille Ball with Richard Denning, and based on characters created by Isabel Scott Roring. Tonight's program was produced and directed by Jess Oppenheimer, who wrote the script with Madeline Pugh and Bob Carroll Jr. Original music was composed by Marlon Skiles and conducted by Wilbur Hatch. Be sure to listen to Lucille Ball and My Favorite Husband again next week, presented by
J-E-L-L. Oh, the big red letters stand for the Jell-O family. Oh, the big red letters stand for the Jell-O family. That's Jell-O.
Yum, yum, yum.
Jell-O puddings.
Yum, yum, yum.
Jell-O tots. The puddings, yes, oh, it's log cabin syrup for mine. With that real Northwoods flavor, so fine, oh, so fine. Blended cane and pure maple, it tops on your table. That real maple flavor does pancakes a favor. It's log cabin syrup for mine.
Yes, Log Cabin is the syrup with that delicious Northwoods maple flavor. It's America's most popular quality table syrup. Enjoy it on waffles or pancakes for Sunday night suppers as well as at breakfast.
It's Log Cabin syrup for mine.
Listen to Lucille Ball and My Favorite Husband again next week. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
As gunshots echo across the wind-swept, snow-covered reaches of the wild Northwest, Quaker Puffed Wheat and Quaker Puffed Rice, the breakfast cereal shot from guns, present the challenge of the Yukon. It's Yukon King, swiftest and strongest lead dog of the Northwest, blazing the trail for Sergeant Preston of the Northwest Mounted Police in his relentless pursuit of lawbreakers.
One king, one husky.
Gold discovered in the Yukon. A stampede to the Klondike in the wild race for riches. Back to the days of the gold rush. With Quaker Puffed Wheat and Quaker Puffed Rice, bringing you the adventures of Sergeant Preston and his wonder dog, Yukon King, as they meet the challenge of the Yukon. Here's a taste treat you ought to repeat. It's Quaker Puffed Rice and Quaker Puffed Wheat. These famous ready-to-serve breakfast cereals are actually shot from guns to make them bigger and better tasting. They have a come-back-for-more nut-like flavor, a come-again tender crispness, and they're good for you. Yes, a delicious, nourishing treat, and so easy to serve. Make sure the big red and blue packages of Quaker Puffed Wheat and Quaker Puffed Rice are on your breakfast table every morning.
Push on!
The moon was full, and the northern lights streaked across the sky, but the trail ran along the base of a thickly wooded slope, and the tall pines cast black shadows across it. Cass Evans urged his team to greater speed.
Push that!
Suddenly, a shot rang out from far up the slope. Cass ran forward, jumped on the sled, and lay flat.
Faster, boy! Run!
Another shot kicked up the snow and back of the flying sled. And then another. The trail swung away from the hill and out of the shadows. cats looked back. He could see nothing but a dark cabin huddled among the trees. No sign of a human being. He drove on toward Dawson. When he reached town, he unharnessed his dogs and back to the Palace Hotel, turned them into the run, and went directly to Northwest Mounted Headquarters.
You're Sergeant Preston, aren't you?
That's right.
I'm Cass Evans. I own the Aurora mine on Empress Creek.
I know. What can we do for you?
Well, to tell you the truth, I think someone's trying to murder me.
What?
Yes, Well, let me tell you about it from the beginning.
Sit down.
Thank you. In case you're not familiar with the Aurora, it isn't a placer digging. It's really a mine. We've driven our shaft straight into the hill.
I remember when you started to operate. About a year ago, wasn't it?
A little more than a year. We've been very successful. But 3 weeks ago, there was an accident. A cave-in. Some of the timbers gave away. I was in the mine at the time. In fact, I was the only one in there. Work had finished for the day.
Were you near the cave-in?
I was close enough. I could have been killed, but I wasn't. And actually, there was no great damage done. But it wasn't an accident, Sergeant.
No?
Someone had sawed almost completely through the timbers.
I see.
I believe I know what you're thinking. That it would have been hard to call it an attempt on my life, an attempt to kill me personally, unless, of course, the timbers were weakened just before work ended that day or just afterward. You see, I make a habit of inspecting the mine just before I go to bed, and I do it alone. I test the timbers. You get what I mean, Sergeant?
I can see the possibility.
Well, that was the first time. But since then, I've been shot at twice while driving into Dawson. Once a week ago, and once tonight.
Well, that's something else again. Why didn't you report it a week ago?
It was a single shot that time. Wooded country. I heard the bullet go by my ear, but it could have been a stray shot from some hunter's gun.
You see anyone?
No, but there were 3 shots tonight. And it was at the same spot on the trail. A good spot for an ambush. You see, the trail's at the bottom of a wooded slope. There's only one cabin along that stretch.
Did the shots come from the cabin?
No.
Go on.
Well, there isn't much more to tell. Except that I found out who lives in that cabin.
Yes?
His name is Elliot. Tom Elliot, a prospector. Young, new up here. And here's the funny thing. This Tom Elliot was at the mine on the day of the cave-in. He asked my foreman for a job. Mike was going to take him on. He had dinner at the mess hall with the men. And then he told Mike he'd changed his mind.
Do you know this Tom Elliot?
I don't think so. And I didn't meet him at the mine.
And one's dealing with murder, Cass. One tries to find a motive.
I understand what you're driving at. And all I can tell you is that I have no recollection of knowing Tom Elliot during the past 11 years.
The past 11 years?
I don't remember anything. It's a strange thing, Sergeant.
It certainly is.
11 years ago, a fisherman saw me thrown off a wharf in San Francisco. He pulled me out of the water. I had one bullet wound in my temple and one in my chest. And no memory of how I got them.
And no memory of anything before that?
A complete blank.
What about your name?
The initial C.E. on a handkerchief. I made up Cass Evans to fit them.
Then you don't know who you are or where you came from?
No, sir.
And during the past 11 years, you've never seen a familiar face you couldn't place that might be someone you knew before?
No, Sergeant. Of course, I spent most of that time at sea or in China.
Well, as C.E., you must have had enemies.
Yes, someone who wanted to kill me at any rate. I've often wondered why.
This Tom Elliot.
Well, Mike says he's only about 25. 11 years ago, he'd only been 14.
Elliot. Evans. Could your name really be Elliot? Could he be a relative?
Mike says he doesn't look anything like me.
Well, I think we ought to meet him and have a talk with him. How long are you going to be in town?
Until late tomorrow afternoon, but I don't think you'll find Elliot at his cabin. It seems to be deserted.
Who told you he lived there?
Tex at Monte Carlo. I I inquired when I was shot at a week ago.
Must be Lookout Hill you're talking about.
See, that's the place. The cabin's set back among the trees, about, I should say, 100 feet up the slope.
I'll take a run out there tonight. Drop around here in the morning. I may have Tom Elliott waiting for you.
No, you understand, Sergeant. I'm not making any accusations.
I understand. Still, there's enough circumstantial evidence against Elliott to justify our asking questions.
I'll leave it in your hands.
Good night, guys.
Good night, Sergeant.
Oh, just one more thing. When you asked Tex who lived in the cabin on Lookout Hill, did you tell him you'd been shot at?
I haven't mentioned it to anyone but you, Sergeant.
Good.
Good night.
Good night.
The sergeant called in one of the constables to take charge of the office. Then he and King headed for the Monte Carlo. Tex was behind the bar.
Howdy, Sergeant.
Howdy, Tex.
Well, what's on your mind, Sergeant?
A prospector named Tom Elliott. What do you know about him?
Well...
Start with a description. You know, you're better than the police file sometimes, Tex.
Well, it's good business to remember your customers. Tom is young, Sergeant. I'd say about 24 or 5. About 5'10", about 180 pounds, clean shaven. And got dark curly hair, dark eyes, almost black. I think his nose must have been broken once. It's just a little crooked. But he'd be good looking if it weren't for the lines around his eyes and the way his mouth turns down like this.
Oh, tough.
He tries to act tough. But when he laughs, you can't help but liking him. He don't laugh often. He lives in an old trapper's cabin on Lookout Hill. Say, why are you interested in Tom, Sergeant? Does it have anything to do with Cass Evans?
Oh, that's an interesting question. What made you ask it?
The way the kid talked about him when we heard about the cave-in at the Aurora.
What did he say?
There'd be good riddance if Cass had been killed.
Did you give any reason for not liking Cass?
Shut up like a clam when I asked him.
How long has it been since you've seen him?
It's over a week since he's been in.
What would you say if I told you that Cass Evans had been shot?
Tom did it? Where? How did it happen? Is Cass hurt bad?
No, he hasn't been shot. But I take it you'd suspect Tom if anything happened to Cass.
Well, from the way he talked and the way he looked, there was 100 proof hate in those black eyes of his.
Did Tom talk about Cass to anyone but you?
Well, the place was crowded. Always is. Lots of people must have heard him. Still... No, Sergeant, I'd find it awfully hard to believe that Tom could shoot Cass in cold blood, no matter how much he hates him. Just isn't that kind of an hombre.
You're a good judge of character, Tex. But there's only one thing for me to do, and that's to find out what's behind Tom's hate. That means we're hitting the trail for Lookout Hill, King.
It was long after midnight when the sergeant reached the cabin on Lookout Hill. The sergeant and King started up the hill.
Cass was wrong about the place being deserted, boy. Light in the window and dogs out and back. Of course, there may not have been anyone in the cabin when he drove by. Since the shots didn't come from the cabin, it's understandable, I think. Well, we'll see. You Tom Elliott?
Yes.
Sergeant Preston, Northwest Mounted Police.
What do you want, Sergeant?
Well, I have a talk with you.
What about?
About Cass Evans.
I don't know any Cass Evans.
He owns the Aurora Mine on Empress Creek.
Oh, I guess maybe I've heard of him.
And had a lot to say about him in the Monte Carlo.
Oh, that. I must have been drunk. I don't know Cass Evans.
Well, if that's going to be your attitude, I'll have to arrest you and take you back to Dawson.
Right. What for?
Someone fired at Cass Evans from the woods near this cabin tonight.
I didn't do it.
You'll have a chance to prove it. Put on your parka. You're coming back to Dawson with me.
No, Monty, up in your hands, you're covered. Keep that dog back or I'll shoot him dead.
Back, King.
Now, you, Sergeant, step inside. Tell the dog to keep back.
Stay outside, King.
Shut the door, Tom. I'll take your gun, Sergeant.
He had a gun in my back, Sergeant. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't warn you.
Too bad you couldn't get rid of him, Tom. Too bad for you, Sergeant.
What was your objection to my arresting him?
Why, Sergeant, what would be the use of Tom going to jail for Cass Evans' murder until Cass is dead? I guess maybe we'll have to blame him for your murder, too.
We'll continue our adventure in just a moment. Say, fellas and girls, it won't be long now. I mean until the new year, 1950, is here.
Well, I am here.
Great Scott, where did you come from?
Well, I guess I shouldn't really be here yet.
Why, you're a baby. Gosh, you haven't got any clothes on. That is, hardly. I mean, except for that big ribbon you're wearing.
Well, see what it says on it?
Sure do. It says 1950.
That's right. That's who I am.
Oh, so you're the new baby New Year.
Right.
Well, you're a good day and some hours early, aren't you?
Well, I was just checking up.
Oh?
On New Year's resolutions. Made any?
Me? Oh, you bet. And I was about to tell all the fellows and girls about a resolution everyone ought to make.
Well, what's that?
It's to eat a good, nourishing breakfast every morning the year round.
Well, that's a swell idea.
And so easy to keep, too. Especially if you include big heaping bowlfuls of swell-tasting Quaker popped wheat or Quaker popped rice with milk or cream and topped with fruit.
Oh, sounds good.
Oh, it is. Quaker popped wheat and Quaker popped rice are shot from guns to make them crisp and tender. Yes, these king-size premium grains are actually exploded up to 8 times normal size to make them bigger and better tasting. And what's more important, too, both delicious kinds furnish added food values of restored natural grain amounts of vitamin B1, niacin, and iron.
You mean they're good for you?
You bet. And for variety, you can eat Quaker popped wheat one day, Quaker popped rice the next.
Boy, I can hardly wait. 1950 is going to see me trying them.
And fellas and girls, don't you be missing out. In 1950, eat Quaker popped rice and Quaker popped wheat. The ready-to-serve breakfast cereals shot from guns. Ask Mom to start the new year off with a breakfast treat that can't be beat. Get next to those big red and blue packages of Quaker popped rice and Quaker popped wheat. Now to continue. The hard-featured, black-bearded man who held a gun on the sergeant ordered him and Tom Elliott to sit down on the cot in the corner of the one-room cabin. Then he settled himself in a chair near the stove.
I'm not going to take a chance of tying you two up until Brant gets back. But if either of you make a move, I'll shoot.
I've seen you around Dawson. They call you Laramie, don't they?
Some folks do.
Were you the one who fired the shots at Cass Evans tonight?
No.
It was the other one. The one called Brant, Sergeant.
Oh? Shut up.
What can you do to make me?
I can pull this trigger.
Well, sooner or later, anyway. I've been a prisoner here for more than a week, Sergeant. Twice they've tried to shoot Evans. If they'd succeeded either time, they'd have put a bullet through me and left me lying near the trail. It would have looked like a gunfight with 2 casualties. Great scheme. Only Brant can't shoot straight. Your boss won't like it when he finds out he's failed again, Laramie.
Shut up!
Who is their boss, Tom?
I don't know. Somebody who tried to kill Evans a long time ago and, is afraid that Evans will recognize him and send him to jail.
You talk too much, Junior.
You've been doing the talking all week.
I may have to keep you alive, but there's nothing to stop me from beating your head in.
Don't try it, Laramie. My hands are perfectly free, remember? Go on, Tom. They plan to pin the blame for Evans' murder on you because of what you said at the Monte Carlo, right?
That's right. Now, don't take any of that back. I have no sympathy for him.
Why not?
Because he's my father.
Your father? And you find that a good reason?
He deserted my mother and me when I was only 13. Left the two of us to run the ranch, went to Frisco with a load of cattle, and never came back.
It's a sad story.
Save your laughs. It gets sadder. We lost the ranch, and Mom died. She was always sure that something had happened to Pa, or he'd have come back to us. I'm glad she never found out the truth.
What truth?
That he just ran away and left us, changed his name so we couldn't find him. When I think of it, him, the owner of the Aurora, with all the money in the world, and but just a few dollars would have meant to Mom.
You've got it all wrong, Tom.
Yeah?
Yes. Now that I finally have it straight.
King! What's up? In response to his master's voice, the great dog King, who had been lying just outside the door, threw himself against it. In a fraction of a second, Laramie turned his head toward the door, and the sergeant was on top of him. As they rolled on the floor, the sergeant held Laramie's gun hand away from him. One shot went into the ceiling, and then, with relentless pressure, the sergeant twisted Laramie's wrist. The gun skidded across the floor.
Get it, Tom.
I got it.
All right, you. Stand up. Good thing you didn't look through my pocket. He'd have found these handcuffs. They look better on you than they would on me, Laramie.
What have I done?
You mean, what have you accomplished? Nothing, I'm glad to say. But you've shown enough criminal intent to put you in jail for a long time. All right, King, I'll let you in, boy. All right, fella, it's all right. Sorry to have worried you. Good work, King.
Sergeant, you said I had it all wrong. What did you mean?
Tom, you heard Laramie say that his boss tried to kill your father once.
I didn't have anything to do with that. I never met Dexter until he hit Dawson 2 months ago.
So it's Dexter, the promoter. Thanks very much. Dexter and Brent.
But about Pa.
He was shot, Tom. Motive was robbery, I suppose. He was thrown into the harbor for dead, but he was rescued.
Well, then why didn't he come home?
Because he lost his memory and never regained it. He changed his name because he didn't know his right one. His only clue was the initials on a handkerchief, C.E.
And Mom was right all along.
Yes.
His name is Charles Elliott.
Wouldn't you like to tell him that, Tom?
You know I would, Sergeant.
Lost his memory. Then he couldn't have sent Dexter to jail. Dexter had nothing to be afraid of.
He has now. And so have we until Dexter's behind bars.
Sergeant, there's Brant, too. He's coming back here.
If he's still in Dawson, we'll pick him up there, and if we meet him on the trail, he'll join our party. Let's go.
As they started out with Laramie riding the sergeant's sled and Tom driving his own, Ben Dexter was pacing the floor of his room in the Palace Hotel. Brant was sitting on the bed.
All the stupid, blundering fool.
I told you how it was. I thought I hit him with my first shot.
Ah, you thought.
He dropped on his sled.
Never mind. You were promised $10,000 to kill a man, and you missed. You got away.
It won't happen again.
No, because the next time I'll see the job is done right. What's more to be done tonight?
Here? In the hotel?
Now, listen. Do you know his dogs?
I oughta. I saw him often enough when I was working up at the mine.
Can you pick him out of the run in back of the hotel?
Sure.
Do you know his sled?
Yeah.
Then go downstairs, the back way. Get his team harnessed.
Right away.
Now, wait, that isn't all. After you finish harnessing the team, walk around to the front of the hotel and into the lobby.
Yeah?
Now ask the clerk what room he's in. Say that you have an important message for him that must be delivered in person.
I got you.
When you got the number of the room, climb the stairs to the second floor. Wait there for a few minutes. Then go back to the clerk. Tell him that he must be out. He didn't answer your knock.
Yeah, but the key of the room, if the clerk doesn't have his key...
A man doesn't always turn his key in at the desk. Now, look, the clerk won't pay too much attention. He'll be half asleep at this hour. Now, do you understand?
Yeah. I say he didn't answer my knock.
So you leave the hotel by the front way. Go round in back. Use the back stairs and come up here.
Oh, I got you. Then you and
That's
me...
all you have to do. Come back here after you're finished, and I'll take charge.
Right, boss.
Brant followed Dexter's instructions, but it was nearly half an hour later when he returned to the room.
Well?
All set.
Been gone long enough.
Oh, I had a little trouble finding the sled, and then the dog started to bark. I beat him good, and they shut up.
Anyone see him?
No.
All right. What's the number of his room?
210. Just below this one.
Good. Now, when he opens the door, I want you to hit him once with the butt of your gun behind the ear. Knock him out, but don't crack his skull.
Okay.
I'll put this lamp out. Come on.
The two men walked swiftly down the corridor to the back stairs, then down the back stairs to the second floor. Now they walked slowly, very softly. Ben struck a match.
This is it. Yeah. Don't want to knock too loud, but I've still got to wake him up. A message, Mr. Evans. It's important. Get him. I said hit him.
I wanted to make sure.
Come on, inside the room. Now, we tie him, dress him, and gag him, and take him out to Lookout Hill, where you can try to put a bullet in him, this time at close range.
When the sergeant, Tom, and Laramie reached Dawson, their first stop was at the Northwest Mounted Headquarters, where Laramie was locked up. Then the sergeant and Tom drove on to the Palace Hotel.
Pretty late, Sergeant.
After 11 years, I don't think your father will mind being wakened. Come on. Come on, King. As usual, Johnny's sound asleep. Wake up, Johnny.
Huh? Oh, Sergeant. I must have dozed off a little.
Just a little. What room's Cass Evans in?
210.
Thanks.
No, but say, he isn't in.
At this hour?
What? Oh, it's practically morning, isn't it?
When to go out?
Well, I didn't see him go out.
And you probably didn't see him come in.
No, I mean, this was only about 15 minutes ago. A fella came in and asked for him. I told him 210, and he went up. In a few minutes, he came down again, said he'd knock on the door, and no one answered.
Someone asked for him this time of night.
I think he works at the Aurora. Forgotten his name, a big guy with a red beard.
Sergeant, that's Brant.
Johnny, how long was he upstairs?
Just a few minutes.
Are you sure?
It only seemed to be a few minutes.
Come on, Tom.
The sergeant, Tom, and King ran up the stairs. There was a hanging oil lamp at either end of the corridor. Halfway down it, the sergeant could see the dim forms of two men. They were carrying another man.
Sergeant, there's Brant now.
Ben Dexter shot up the lamp over the back stairs. He and Brant dropped Cass and ran for the end of the corridor. The sergeant ran after him. He leaped over Evans' still form and caught Brant just as he reached the stairway.
Come here, you.
He grabbed the shoulder of his partner and whirled him around. His right crashed into the red-bearded jaw, and Brant staggered back against the wall. His hand went for his gun, and the left knocked him down. The sergeant jerked Brant's gun from its holster.
Watch him, King.
The sergeant ran to the end of the corridor and opened the window. In a second, he climbed through and dropped to the ground near the rear door of the hotel. As he scrambled to his feet, Ben Dexter came through the door holding a gun. Preston charged from the side.
Hey, what the...
Ben turned, but too late to swing the gun around. The hard impact of Preston's charge jolted the gun from his hand. Ben tried to turn back into the hotel, but the Mountie grabbed his left wrist and twisted his arm behind his back.
You've gone far enough, Dexter. You're under arrest in the name of the Queen.
Dexter and Brant joined Laramie in jail that night, and Tom's father was taken to the hospital. He had a slight concussion, and it was morning before he opened his eyes. He saw the sergeant, King, and Tom standing beside his bed.
Sergeant Preston.
Hello, Charlie.
Charlie. That is my name, isn't it?
You remember?
Yes. My head. Something's happened to my head.
You were hit and hit hard, but it seems to have brought back your memory.
I know. I'm not Cass Evans. I'm Charlie Elliott.
Do you remember your son?
My son.
Hello, Paul.
Tom. It's been so long. You were only a boy, and now you've come up here to...
No, Charlie, you're wrong. Tom had nothing to do with those attempts on your life. There's a man named Dexter who was trying to kill you. You remember him? Remember Dexter?
Dexter. After I'd sold the cattle, the man who robbed me, the man who shot me.
Easy, Paul.
Yes, Charlie, there's no need to get excited. We know all about it. Dexter's in jail, and so are the two men who were working with him. They'll stay there for the rest of their lives. All you have to do is rest easy.
But, Tom, there are so many questions.
You can wait. You'll have a long time to get acquainted with your son.
I'll be right here, Paul.
Come on, King. The case is closed.
In just a moment, Sergeant Preston will give you a preview of Monday's adventure. Well, sir, fellas and girls, next Sunday is the first day of a new year. And right here is someone who wants to say something to each and every one of you. Here is Sergeant Preston himself. And naturally, I don't have to tell you that King is here, too, right beside him.
Fellows and girls, King and I just want to wish you a happy new year. May the coming year be the finest, the happiest ever for you and your family. How about it, King? That's King's way of saying for the both of us, Happy New Year.
And Sergeant Preston, that goes for me and all of us here. And for the Quaker Oats Company, makers of Quaker Puffed Wheat and Quaker Puffed Rice. Yes, from all of us, a Happy New Year to one and all. Listen Monday when Sergeant Preston and Yukon King meet the challenge of the Yukon in the case of Rainbow's End.
When Andy Miller was released from prison and paroled to me, I found him to be a likable young man determined to make good. His conviction had been based on circumstantial evidence, and I decided to reopen his case. This decision took King and me on a strange trail that was marked by murder.
Be sure to hear this exciting adventure Monday. These radio dramas, a feature of the Challenge of the Yukon Incorporated, are created and produced by George W. Trendle, directed by Fred Flowerday, and edited by Fran Stryker. The part of Sergeant Preston is played by Paul Sutton. They are brought to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at the same time by Quaker Puffed Wheat and Quaker Puffed Rice, the breakfast cereal shot from guns. For a delicious hot breakfast, eat Quaker Oats. The giant of the cereals is Quaker Oats. Delicious, nutritious, makes you feel ambitious. The giant of the cereals is Quaker Oats. Say, boys and girls, do you want to be a star someday in sports and activities? Then start on good Quaker Oats breakfast tomorrow. Because nourishing oatmeal gives you more growth and endurance than any other whole grain cereal. Remember, Quaker and Mother's Oats are the same. This is J. Michael wishing you goodbye, good luck, and good health from Quaker Puffed Wheat and Quaker Puffed Rice. So long. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.